wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Y'all, welcome and happy Thursday. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics, all that good stuff. So that's the show for you. Definitely stick around. I was like, as I'm adjusting this dang camera, because I could have sworn I had it all copacetic. But we here. I was like, well, I had to turn this heat off. It was OD hot up in here. But yeah, I want to apologize. I know I'm late. I had to feed the dogs, all the other stuff, make sure everything was copacetic before I went live. My plan was to go at 6:15. I was not planning on coming on 20 minutes later, but when I be talking, I still give y'all a good show. So forgive me. But anyway, we got a lot of topics to get into, such as we got to talk about that new Supergirl teaser finally dropped. We got to about 28 years later. We got some news regarding the upcoming third movie that has yet to get written or made and all that good stuff. We got some news regarding the new Hunger Games movie. Some familiar faces might be popping up in this film, which I think is a prequel. We got to talk about this David Ellison thing where apparently he don't understand the word that no means no. Your laws, move on. And I came across this story that was talking about how I don't even think I added it to the thing as a heading, but I'm going to tie it all together. Apparently, there was a story that came out in regards of why Warner Brothers Discovery lost the auction is because they tried to involve Saudi money in the situation. So I got that whole breakdown. So we're gonna get to that. Plus, apparently, there's a story going around regarding Tom Cruise and his space movie that he was filming, where he was literally was gonna go out of space and film the film. They were asking he could have hit up Trump for some money for the budget because the studio wouldn't give him the money or whatever. And we have the story on why he wouldn't go and ask Donald Trump for the money. Also, we got to talk about Kelly Osbourne and this emaciated look that she's running around with. Apparently, she's clapping back at the haters who's talking about her weight loss. Amanda Seyfried said, "I said what I said in regards to Charlie Kirk," while his wife, Tammy Faye Faker, is running around grifting, pretending like she's the doting wife that lost her poor husband. The acting is just so atrocious over there on Fox News, but we'll get to that. Plus, Andy Dick, there was a story that was going around about him yesterday where he was seen on the side of the road. Well, it was like in the street in LA, Hollywood to be exact. He was blue. They had to hit him with multiple Narcans to revive him. And he said after he done came to, he spoke to TMZ and said, I ain't going to rehab. I don't have a problem. So we're going to get into that story. Gwen Stefani out of here with that stupid Christian app, and people are dragging her because she changed the lyrics of Hollaback Girl for that Hollow app that she's hawking around. Then we got to talk about this thing where people are accusing Jonathan Bailey of straight baiting. I didn't even know that was a thing. We'll get into that. Frankie Grande is defending all the bottoms. He said, y'all going to put some respect on the power bottoms names. And we got to get into this Pornhub data that just came out regarding y'all like the lesbians and the femboys apparently. So we're going to get into that story and a whole lot more. So before we get to those topics, if you have not already, because I know it's the beginning of the show. Oh wait, I gotta close this thing. If you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I was like, let me see. Well, apparently y'all can hear me. Not you trying to read me to my this about as early as you do. Well, I'm always late. How you doing? Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into the show. Let me hit my banner and let's get to our first topic. Let's talk about Supergirl. So apparently the Supergirl trailer dropped. Um, there's rumors going around that we might not even be getting the Avengers Doomsday trailer next week, as they've been saying that we're supposed to be getting with Avatar, like in the beginning of Avatar, whatever. Like I've been hearing that. I hope that they're gonna actually show the trailer. But if they don't, I'm like, whatever. We have a whole year before that movie comes out. So I'm not that upset if they don't even put it out there. Hold on, I just realized I didn't put on the thing for the comments. So yeah, now I can see y'all comments and stuff in the thing. So okay, so let's get into it. So yeah, the Supergirl trailer finally aired where we got to see Millie Alcock from one of my favorite shows, House of the Dragon. She was on the first season, but now she's not a part of the show anymore because they have the other actor that's playing that character. What is it? Ramirez, I think is her name. Um, so yeah, she's doing Supergirl. I like the trailer what I saw so far. It was giving very much Guardian of the Galaxy vibes when I was looking at it. I'm like, okay, this has got James Gunn's DNA written all oh wait, hold on. That's I don't want it that big. This has got James Gunn's DNA written all over this movie. And I'm not mad at it, even though he didn't direct it. You could definitely see like it's got that James Gunn vibe written all over this movie. And I like the fact that what about the trailer that they let you know right out the gate, this is Kara Jor-El's story. She is nothing like her cousin Kal-El, where he's all about true justice and seeing the good in people. And she said in the trailer, she was like, he sees the good in people. I see the truth. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that world's explored. Plus, her going after the person who killed her family and destroyed Krypton, and the young girl who seeks out Supergirl to be a bounty hunter to take out the person that killed her parents. And then we got to see a glimpse of Lobo. It was a blinking and miss it role. There's a lot of blinking you miss it situations that was going on because everything was going by so fast. And also, I felt like the coloring of the film was a bit dark. So it was like you had to rewind a lot of times to catch everything up in there. And I'm no expert on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the graphic novel this movie is based on, but I'm definitely curious to explore this world. And of course, before the movie even comes out, getting that graphic novel, which we've seen when it was first announced that they were doing a movie based off of that graphic novel, that you saw Millie Alcock holding up the graphic novel and she had it open and like she was reading it. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on that. But let's get into the story. So it said, as the wait for the first Avengers Doomsday trailer continues, at this rate, us getting a leaked version of the next week's early screenings of Avatar Fire and Ash seems increasingly likely. DC Studios wants us all to look out instead of looking up for Supergirl, the highly anticipated DCU movie heading our way in June. Kara Zor-El clearly is a very different hero from her cousin Superman, while James Gunn's influence is clear, of course, like I said, with the Guardians of the Galaxy inspired tone of the film. Look no further than the sneak peek's catchy soundtrack and sets that feel very nowhere inspired. This movie has all the same punk rock vibe as filmmaker Craig Gillespie's Cruella. Well, I'm not gonna hold you. I actually did like you know, I don't like when y'all be turning a lot of my favorite villains from Disney movies into anti-heroes or like flawed characters, but Cruella actually worked for me. And it was probably because Craig Gillespie and what he brought to it. And I think that's what they're trying to do with this film because I did watch Coy Jandreau's video where he was actually there when they introduced the trailer and Millie came out and James Gunn was up there and Craig Gillespie was up there. And they were basically talking about like how yeah tonally they want to make this a completely different type of situation, and they want to one thing we've never seen in regards of a female superhero type character is someone who's deeply flawed. So if we can get to see that vibe of a flawed superhero, I'm all for that because I don't like when my superheroes be perfect. And I think that was kind of like the approach that I had with that fear of when I watched Superman. When I saw Superman, I was worried because I felt like, how do you make a perfect specimen from Krypton interesting? How do you make him flawed? How do you make him imperfect? And James Gunn, even though I have my trepidations about Superman, like I don't love it as much, and I'm not gonna hold you, I didn't love it as much as I love Man of Steel. And shout out to y'all over there at Joe Blow, Mike from We Watch Movie. He writes for them. That y'all was really going in. We was going back and forth with that whole situation because he put this clickbait video out. Well, rage bait, I guess you can call it that. But people get riled up, especially the Snyder Bros. When you sit up in there talking about why with everything going on, why we need the DCEU, the Snyderverse, to come back. And I'm like, my comment, I just said it point blank in the period. Y'all had it, you lost it, time to move on. And it's like, you had the opportunity. It was what it was. Yes, Man of Steel did fairly well. It did slightly better than, of course, James Gunn's Superman. And that's fine because in a way, James, I like James Gunn's Superman, but I didn't love it. I actually like the Snyderverse version of Superman way more. There were certain things in that film that was like how dark it was, and I guess at the time we needed that. But And I didn't like that y'all had Superman killing, but overall, I love that film. I like that film. I like Man of Steel. There were certain things in other films I didn't particularly care for, but it felt like it was rushed. It felt like they were trying to get to where the MCU was, but the MCU had a head start building up to Avengers Endgame and Secret Wars and all that other stuff. Well, say Endgame because that was the end. So they had years to build up to that. DC, it just seemed like Walter Hamada and them over there was trying to be like, we need to hurry up and get to Justice League. I'm like, well, goddamn, can y'all wait? Like, give a moment and let's introduce Batman as his own solo film. You got to interview, I mean, and you got to introduce the Flash in his solo film, Wonder Woman, Superman. You got to have all these people have their moment before collectively they come together. And it's like y'all didn't have that patience, and you could clearly see that y'all were the people that were behind at that whole film at the time. Y'all weren't fully confident in what y'all were doing, so it felt rushed. People felt, and it just didn't work out. But I know everybody wants what could have been to happen, and it's like too much money was burned. And it would be great to see if the Snyderverse could get another chance. But um, at this point, it's just time to try something new. And we only got Superman right now. I want to see what else is going to come out of this universe before I fully be like, okay, I'm totally on board. I'm not on board yet, and I like James Gunn, but I'm not fully 110% on board with this DCU. But I need to see way more that's coming out of that before I get on board with this situation. But anyway, getting back into the story, much of the teaser is devoted to Supergirl attempting to protect Ruthie Marie Knoll from intergalactic bounty hunters. In the closing moments of the trailer, we finally get a first look at Jason Momoa's take on Lobo. It was very much a blinky and miss it role. Moreover, Aquaman, the Scourge of the Cosmos, has arrived. I thought, what have I done? I really struggled to believe I could do it. Alcott recently said of being cast as Supergirl. I even called the director Craig Gillespie saying, I don't know how to be the person. I'm that person. I'm just me. Eventually, I realized that the only way was to trust myself. The House of the Dragon alum continued. I always believed life is right on time. Things happen when they're supposed to, whether you feel ready or not. I totally agree in that. I've always believed that you know what, when things present itself in your life, everything is supposed to happen the way it's supposed to happen, and just don't try to fight it. So as I was saying before, I definitely I liked the teaser. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with this film. Because to be honest, I did not like that last scene when comes in on when she comes in at the end, when she's at the Fortress of Solitude and she comes to pick up crypto. I didn't particularly like that scene of how she kind of came across. I'm like, I'm not feeling this tone. But then after watching this film and what they're gonna bring them, I'm like, okay, now I see where y'all going with that. It just didn't fit within what they were doing over there with Superman. So I'm definitely curious to see what they're going to do with this film. I want to see what else do. They have anything else they want to add? No, that just goes into all the technical stuff regarding who produced it and all the other stuff. But the other actors, I don't think anybody knows any of these other people. I mean, I know David Krumholtz. He's been around since forever. David Krumholtz, he was the kid that was in love with Wednesday in the Adams Family Values. That's where I know him from. And of course Jason Momoa. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Did you check out the trailer? What are your overall thoughts? It was like all the Easter eggs and stuff. I'm not well versed on all of that up in the film, so I'm not even going to attempt to try to dissect everything that was going up in there because I'm just like based off of my instinct or first impression. Tonally, I like the film. It's got that Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. I definitely vibe with Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the first film the most. I mean, the second one was all right. The third one I liked, but the first one will always be like the best one, of course. But so yeah, I'm looking forward to it and seeing what they're gonna bring with this Supergirl franchise because we definitely need a Supergirl movie. I mean, I watched the old one with Helen Slater and Faye Dunaway a couple of months ago. That movie is so cheesy and so bad, but it's entertaining. It's on HBO Max if y'all ever want to check it out. But I was like, it's entertaining, but I'm like, this movie is corny. And I'm sure it was corny back in the day when it was first released. So excuse me. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your overall thoughts on this story in the comments down below. Wait, so where are we? Oh, that was the next one. Oh, wait, hold on. Not rest in peace, Mega Minaj. Ah, died when she followed Trump and JD Vance defend her. Well, no, her career died a long time ago. They just put the final nail in the coffin. Happy Thursday. Hello, everyone. It said, "Oh, I didn't realize that was her in House of the Dragon. This looks fun. I'm betting this lands in 400 million. I hope so. Because I went, oh, it's not going to be a $400 million movie. Oh, it's not going to make that. You don't know what the fuck it's going to do. I said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's why I don't like doing all that. How much is it going to Is it going to hit a billion? I'm like, I don't care about all that. It's like, I just hope and pray it does well so we could so we can get a sequel. But so it's a Hey Chris Bath and Body Works sale Fridays. Funny. I guess they do this once a year. Great gift possible. Yeah, you want to know something? Since I will be in the city and I'm over there by I work in like on 34th Street, Herald Square. I'm like, Herald Square, duh. Um this Bath and Body Works, I could probably go over there and look and see because I never know what it's like. I was like, should I give my mother money this year or should I just go to like a Bath and Body Works and pick some stuff up? I don't know. I'll have to take a look. Excuse me, not DC is down bad. Like, forget all that. What's up with the Clayface movie? They're working on it still. Mike Flanagan wrote the script. I'm excited. And, anything Mike Flanagan, I'm always on board. So, yeah, they're working on it. I don't know if they're done shooting, but I think it's currently in production. So that should be coming out later on in 2026 as well, I believe. Yes, Jason Momoa's in it. He's playing Lobo, which everybody says that was the role he was born to play. Well, at least they got a capable actor. Okay, because she can't act. And it seems like they always got to go to England to get all the best of the best, right? I like that they pick someone that isn't. I was like, is it Shay? I think you mean conventionally. Because Millie Alcott looks like your average little girl. She's not something that it's not like you hired Ana de Armas to play um Supergirl. So I get it. It's like you want to pick like a girl who could kind of sort of fly under the radar. Imagine if they had here you go. Okay. Well, one of these days, I'm sure once they prove themselves, we'll probably get that the Authority movie, TV show, whatever they plan on doing. I just think at this point, James Gunn and Peter Safran have to prove themselves as box office juggernauts with this universe they're trying to build before the Warner Brothers is willing to take a risk on something like a vigilante version of Justice League, a darker version of Justice League. It's like Hollaback after everything high. It's like, I need to see the trailer, but I'm glad to find out that they are actually doing the movie. I would have been upset if all we saw was that cut scene with her coming back from the after party at the end of Superman. I wonder who the bad guys and Supergirl will be. Did they mention who the bad guys was? I still got the story open. Um, Yeah, because I told you I'm not familiar with character names and all the other stuff. All I know is Ruthie Knoll is in it, and Supergirl is basically trying to protect her from um, a bunch of intergalactic bounty hunters, and we have Jason Momoa in it as Lobo. I forgot the other characters. Wait, let me see. Who are who are the character? Not Superman. Oh, not Superman. Supergirl. Yeah, should put 2026 to be specific. Oh, I also did my list of best albums of 2025. I'll probably do that next week. So we got Cara Zor-El, Lobo, Creme of the Yellow Hills, Ruthie Knoll, Zor-El, and Allura. But isn't Allura her mother and Zor-El's the father? I know Creme of the Yellow Hills. They made him look like something out of Star Trek with all that stuff on his face, like the little tattoos or whatever the case was. And so, yeah, those are like your main characters. But I'm guessing, based off the situation, that Prem is the might be the villain. Though I'm definitely assuming that they're gonna make him an anti-hero only because it's Jason Momoa. The other day I went and bought some lotion from CVS. Like as soon as I came out of the gym, I was like, "Oh my god, this weather is killing my skin." Like my skin was starting to dry up and stuff. And I hate this is why I hate New York weather. Like the weather out here is, I think it's because the air is so damn dry. So I had to like run into the CVS. Why is everything so damn expensive? So now you tell me about Bed Bath and Body Works or whatever the hell. Um, Maybe I'll you know what? A good idea would be for me to go up in there early tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to an early showing of Silent Night, Deadly Night. So when I'm done with that, before I go to the gym, I could probably go up in there and look for some stuff and put that in my, because I don't want to go on the weekend when all of a sudden everybody want to go shopping at the last damn minute, and then I'm gonna be in there irritated. Crypto is back, $1 billion movie right there. Okay, because we love crypto. But I gotta remember where the bath. Wait, I know there's a Bath and Body Works, Bed Bath and Body Works, or whatever how the hell you say it. I don't remember where one is off the top of my head, but I'll look it up. But anyway, all right, let's get back into the show. And let's talk about 28 years later. So I know a lot of people feel on the fence about 28 years later, but after the recent reviews that came out, there was some early reviews, and I forgot who it was, um, that went and saw it. One of the people I follow, can't remember his name. I'm like, all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. When a couple of people went to go see it, a bunch of YouTubers went to go see the movie yesterday. There's a lot of good reviews coming out about it. People are saying it's much better than the last one. Like it's the closest to the original film that we had with Cillian Murphy and Naomi Harris and that sort of thing. So that was music to my ears, because when I saw the first 28 years later, I wasn't really that, like, there was certain things in it that just rubbed me the wrong way. I like the dynamic of Aaron Taylor Johnson with his son, the kid that played Spike, how they were like, okay, for your birthday or whatever, because this is your rite of passage. So I'm gonna take you out, and we're gonna hunt like these zombies, whatever. And there's like different versions of the infected that we got to meet. But I didn't like some of the camera trickery shot stuff that was going, especially during the killing sequences, like how the camera would freeze frame and then do like a 360. I'm like, what the hell? What in the Matrix is going on? I didn't like those shots. So some of the technical decisions that was made in certain shots and whatever, that's me, film school kid, whatever. I didn't particularly care for those shot decisions. And then that last sequence when we see like the Power Ranger Teletubby Jimmy cult people come out, I'm like, what the is this? But I guess it's something that's very British. I guess that's kind of like their humor tone, whatever the case is. I don't know, because it's like they say, like we don't know, we're not always going to get other people's things and tones and terminologies and stuff. And the same thing with us, like stuff we find funny. Somebody from another country is like, I don't get it. So, um, I totally get it. Art is subjective. That was a decision they made. But yeah, there was some stuff coming out, and now they're saying that because of the great reviews revolving this movie, we're actually going to be getting a third film. So, oh wait, I forgot to close up one of my previous stories. So it says Sony is proceeding with a third 28 years later movie following the electric fan reaction from recent screenings of the second film, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta. The film comes out over Martin Luther King weekend on January 16, 2026. The third movie in the latest trilogy doesn't even have a title yet. The buzz is that 28 years later, star Cillian Murphy, who reprised his role in The Bone Temple, is in talks, and franchise scribe Alex Garland is currently writing part three. Murphy is an EP on 28 Years Later and 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. The Oppenheimer Best Actor Oscar winner is rep by CAA. Okay, that's nice. Shout out to his reps. Now, they said when Sony won rights to the 28 Years Later trilogy, it had an option for the third movie, but waited to greenlight it. Rather, it shot the first two movies back to back, with Danny Boyle returning to direct the first, and Candyman filmmaker DaCosta helming the second. Boyle has said in interviews he'd like to helm the third 28 Years Later, and it's hopeful he'll return. Because y'all know Danny Boyle directed the first movie, 28 Days Later. 20 years later opened to 30 million in June, one of the top openings for a horror movie in the year flooded with them. The movie went on to gross 70.4 domestic and 151.3 million worldwide, easily the highest grossing in the franchise, and started back that started back at Fox Searchlight in 2002 with 28 Days Later. The original, directed by Boyle and written by Garland, was followed by 2007's 28 Weeks Later, which was directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. And here was the thing. I like this parts of 28 Weeks Later. I like because it felt more like a Hollywood. They took more of like a Hollywood action movie approach to it, very Resident Evil in a lot of ways. But there was some decisions y'all made regarding the character that pissed me off. I was mad that y'all killed off Jeremy Renner. I was like, why y'all set that man on fire? So I was a little upset about that. But overall, and they killed off a lot of the people in the movie. Rose Byrne, I'm like, damn, how y'all kill her off too? So it was always good to see like people who you all normally would see like would be considered, oh, they got plot armor on them. Oh, not in that movie. Everybody was gonna get got. So the only ones that survived was the kids and Harold Perrineau. And I really wanted them to do the one where we were going to go to France, but that story never materialized. So, all in, the entire British horror series across 3 movies has minted close to 300 million worldwide. The film takes place in a dystopian future where the infected have ravenously squared off with human population, which, as you'll see in the Bone Temple, is fiercely divided. The hoots and hollers coming from the Century City Westfield Mall last night weren't from the Christmas lights strung about, rather the fan screening of Bone Temple at the AMC Century City Multiplex. Funny enough, when I used to live in California, when I used to live in LA, that was the theater I would always go to. Century City, that is always the spot that you go to. It's in the heart of Beverly Hills. Well, I guess you got to go through Beverly Hills to get to Century City. I actually worked in that mall when I had moved to LA and I was doing all my Hollywood stuff. It's like, yeah, I had me a little side gig, and there were times where I was like, yeah, I would go to those movies. You will always see celebrities in. That's why I saw Halle Berry and so many other celebrities, because that's like the very famous mall that you'll see regular celebrities go to. That Equinox, I believe, is also like the famous one that all the celebrities go to. They go through a little secret door and all that other stuff. So um that AMC is notorious for doing a lot of screenings. I've even seen like some of the LA pundits do screenings from there. I think Coy Jandro has done a lot of out of the theater reactions for a lot of movies or whatever at that mall. So Gold Derby IndieWire scribe Simon Thompson beamed in the first round of social media reactions, saying of the pick and stars Jack O'Connell and Ray Fiennes, Nia DaCosta knocks it out of the park with 28 years later. Hashtag the Bone Temple. The complex tapestry of tones provides the perfect canvas for a brutal and nightmarish study of unchecked power. O'Connell goes all in on maniacal Sir Jimmy, while Fiennes eats up needle drops like a demon. And funny enough, it'll be cool to see like what Jack O'Connell brings to this character, because remember, if you saw the first 28 years later, he is the adult version of the kid that survived that outbreak in the opening sequence of that movie. So seeing like how his whole family and everybody was unalive by the zombies or the infected, but they technically are zombies, and seeing like what this cuckoo crazy cult leader he's become in this world of zombiedom is going to be a fascinating thing to do. And also, look, I want Nia DaCosta to finally get a movie on her hands that people like. Because I know the Candyman remake was the people were divided on that. Also, the Marvels, she directed that. Y'all had an issue with that movie too. But I don't know if we can necessarily blame her, because I'm like, she's the filmmaker under the MCU umbrella. They're the ones that pretty much control what the direction and what people do and stuff over there. So all in all, I was a little because I have a love hate relationship, even though I've seen this recent 28 years later twice, because it was like as soon as they dropped it on Netflix without any kind of promotion, I was just happen to scroll through it when they first dropped it. I was like, oh, they got 28 years later. Okay, I'll watch it again. And because the first time I saw it in the movie, second time I waited until it came out on the streaming service, which was like I said was Netflix. So I went and I watched it that way, and I was like, it made me like the movie more. I still have my issues with certain things that was in that film, but overall, I tend to have liked it, even though there were little things that bothered me. So I'm looking forward to seeing this film. I'm glad to hear all the great reviews about it. And so now, I mean, I guess now that I got a list, I'll just use the A list to go see the movie. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Now that you hear this news regarding 28 years later, I mean, even if you were someone who were on the fence about a sequel because you probably didn't like some of the same things in 28 years later that I probably didn't like, or just tonally you felt like it was a little all over the place, like you didn't like that Teletubby final sequence at the end. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know what they are in the comments down below. The name of fragrance called Banana Wash. What about Baloney Wash? That name did feel very British. It's like, cause I don't know British humor, but, it's like, it did feel very British. Honestly, I could not get behind the plot of the last one. Like, "Boy, put your mama back if you're not equipped to take care of her." That is true because she was at the we found out that she had cancer and the mom was going bad. Um, and just that whole subplot, I was just like, so now this kid's got to go through a grief period and everything, and now we get to follow him on this journey of him trying to find himself out in the world all on his own. Hopefully, we'll get to see Aaron Taylor Johnson in this one, and he'll be searching for his son. But now, since they found that baby, that the alpha's girl, I think, well, yeah, the zombie girl, how she gave birth to the kid, and what that story actually means. Does this mean like there's a cure for this disease inside of the baby that the infected gave birth to that didn't have any signs of being infected? And how would you even find out a way to even create a vaccine? Where are the scientists and all that stuff? I'm sure they'll probably explain all of that. They had a Housewives edition of Celebrity Weakest Link, and it was truly sad how pathetic they performed. Well, probably because a lot of those broads are stupid. The only language they understand is getting drunk and committing white collar crimes. So if you ask them to do smart shit, that shouldn't be the show y'all going on. That Celebrity Jeopardy, not even Wheel of Fortune. I began writing a poem about the M word. You don't like. That's funny. How the craziness of this show inspires people to write poems and things. Funny. Yeah, not everybody wants to sit up in a theater, which is fine. All right, y'all. So now let's get into our next story, which kind of annoyed me because I feel like this story should have been something that should have been a surprise revealed in the movie. But it also goes to show maybe they revealed it because y'all don't have any hopes that a new audience will turn out for this film because it doesn't have Katniss and Peter in it. But since they decided to announce that Katniss and Peter is going to be in Sunrise of the Reaping, which they do be quite fair, they do appear in the book at the end. But and that had people wondering if they were going to make an appearance because they do appear in the book. So now it's been revealed, apparently from all the trades, that yes, Jennifer Lawrence and my little boo thing, Josh Hutcherson, his little cute self, is about to be in Sunrise of the Reaping. So, according to Deadline, they said that Hunger Games canon stars Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson are returning for Lionsgate's next prequel, The Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. The new film synopsis reads, taking place 24 years before the first film, a young Haymitch Abernathy, was played by Woody Harrelson in the previous films, is selected to compete on the 50th Hunger Games, also known as the Second Quarter Quell, which occurs every 25 years with a twist to the rules. For this quarter quell, say that 10 times fast. For this quarter quell, each distinct district of Panem must send twice the number of tributes to the capital who will fight to the death in the Hunger Games. While the prequel, as previously mentioned, is set in the world of Panem 24 years before the events of the Hunger Games, there's a scene in the new Suzanne Collins book where grown Peter and Katniss listen to Hamish Abernathy as he recounts his Hunger Game to them. So what'll probably be is I said at the end, so it'll probably be in the opening sequence that you'll get a scene with Woody Harrelson and these two, and then he's sitting there reminiscing with them about, oh, I used to do what you did, and then sets the whole situation up, and then we get to follow through his eyes his adventure. Which I guess would make sense, but I guess this is a way for them to try to get butts and seats because, oh, you got a whole new Hunger Games movie where you don't have the original cast coming back and it's a whole new story. And you're a little worried that the movie's not going to do that well at the box office. But if the film is good, then people will show up for it. And based off the trailer, I don't think the trailer was bad. I mean, it looked interesting from what I saw. Was it something I was like, oh my God, I got to rush to the movies to see this film? No, but as we get closer to the date, and if the way they start promoting it, and then I get to see a little more of what's going on in this world of Panem, then I might be willing to use one of my A-list passes to go see it. So Sunrise on the Reaping begins on the morning of the reaping of the 50th Hunger Games, also known as I think what, and they said that Haymitch is supposed to be 16 in this one. So the news isn't alarming, I should say. Hutcherson has been asked about his return in the new movie while doing press tours for Five Nights at Freddy's. And that movie is doing really well because it opened to 64 million at the box office. So it's been doing well, even though y'all know I hated that movie. But it's doing fairly well at the box office. So my opinion is my opinion, and there's people out there that apparently like it. And I think like the hardcore Five Nights at Freddy fans are enjoying the film because they play up the Easter eggs and all this stuff, and you get to see all the things that you like about the film. I mean, the games and stuff in the movie. My problem was the script was bad and just the lack of character development. And it's just a lot of stuff that they had people doing up there, which is dumb and it made no sense. But I get it. Y'all were so happy to see those animatronics and stuff on the screen. I guess that was enough for some of y'all. And speaking of Five Nights at Freddy's, it's funny because it's two people from Five Nights at Freddy's. Two is going to be in the film. You have uh who did I just say? Peter Millard, Josh Hutcherson, and McKenna Grace. McKenna Grace is everywhere these days. Like she was just in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Then 2 months from now, she about to be in Scream 7. And now she's about to do this movie. I don't know that she got anything else in between. So yeah, so Sunrise of the Reaping hits theaters on November 20th, 2026. The Pix first trailer became Lionsgate's second biggest trailer launch ever in the studio history, with 109 million views in its first 24 hours, following the studio's Michael trailer, which clocked 116 million views in the first 24 hours. So here's the thing. I guess with that being said, that there are people relatively excited, or maybe it was just they were curious to see like if this movie's going to be good or if it sucks or whatever the case is. And that's fine. Oh, I didn't even know Maya Hawke is in this because I'm seeing her name as I'm going through the cast numbers. Um, Billy Porter's in it too. Wait, hold on now. Let's go through the cast. They said Michaela Grace, as we said, Ben Wang. I think Ben Wang was in, if I'm not mistaken, The Long Walk, which is something similar to like a game that people play where if you slow down, you die. So it's like all playing banana. And don't even get me started on Quentin Tarantino, bitter ass, where he decided to read this franchise and saying that I'm surprised they didn't sue Suzanne Collins because he basically has said that Hunger Games is a ripoff of Battle Royale. Yes, it's true they have something where it's a bunch of kids that have to kill them, each other until one is left standing. But for the most part, it's its own. You could take that concept and create a whole new story around it. There's no new idea that is just made for one person. And yet again, Quentin is the last one to sit up here talking about somebody using influence or whatever the case was, when his whole entire career has been taking from other people and him putting them references all throughout his movies. Yeah, he doesn't try to hide it, but you like to do copy and paste work in your films too, sir. So they said McKenna Grace, Ben Wang, Molly McCann, Iona Bell too. Percy Daggs the Fourth, Jaleel Swaby, Laura Marcus. Let me see if I know any famous people in here because all these other names, I'm like, I don't know who that is. Ray Fiennes, damn, Ray Fiennes getting around. Glenn Close, Kieran Culkin, Elle Fanning, Billy Porter, Iris Apatow was of course related to Maud, and that's her sister, and her father's Judd. Maya Hawke, as I said, seem to be the big names that I'm familiar with. So yeah. They said Francis Lawrence, who directed 4 out of the 5 movies of the Hunger Games franchise, which has grossed 3.4 billion around the world. The five novels have sold more than 100 million copies globally and have been translated into 52 languages. Sunrise on the Reaping sold over 1.5 million copies worldwide in its first week, marking the biggest debut for any title in Collins' Hunger Games book series. In the US alone, the book sold 1.2 million copies, more than twice the opening sales of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and over three times that of Mockingjay. So it looks like, and then didn't well, no, that's a different thing. I forgot. I was like, didn't Miley Cyrus do a song for them? No, she did one for the new Avatar film. But yeah, so it seemed like everybody's pretty much. I thought nobody was really excited for it, but apparently people are excited. They said the trailer, was watched by a lot of people. Probably those who are excited because they love the book and they want to see it come to life, and those who are just genuinely curious to see, like, is this movie going to, give me all the feels that the other films gave me, where we had Peter and Katniss. So I'm looking forward to seeing this film, I guess, now more than ever. And I like all the YA, book to movie type situations. I like the Hunger Games. What was the other ones that came out? I liked the Maze Runner. I said the other day Netflix had all of them on it. I don't know if they still up there, but I sat and watched all three Hunger Games. I watched all three Maze Runner movies. Y'all already know how I feel about Twilight. First of all, I love vampires. Those aren't vampires. That was something else. That was some old Disney-fied mess. So we don't acknowledge um Twilight, or as I used to call it, Twilight, in the Avalon household. But all the other stuff I thoroughly like, particularly, like I said, Maze Runner, and of course, Hunger Games. So I'm looking forward to seeing this when it comes out later on this next year. Sorry, a year from now, basically. So I say all this to say, not to hit that. What do you guys think of this story? Does this get you more excited to check out the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping? Now that you all know that some blasts from the past, Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson are going to be reprising their roles as Katniss Everdeen and what's his name? Peter Penmark? Oh, no, that's Rhoda. Peter Malark. I said Peter Penmark. Rhoda Penmark was from the Bad Seed. Peter Malark was his name. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I really wish that this would have been like something y'all kept secret, so that way when they pop up on screen, we could all get excited and you know how y'all do when the cameos pop up on the screen. So I kind of wish we would have had that, but studios, they love a spoiler. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Did you see who they crowned as Times Person of the Year? Boo. No, I did not. Who was it? Let me look it up. Not the architects of AI. Y'all cannot be damn serious. They said Time Magazine. Hold on. Why is USA? Oh, now USA, y'all tried it. Y'all want me to pay for it. Not gonna happen. Hold on. Yeah, they said Time Magazine has chosen Architects of AI as its Person of the Year. First of all, how can you pick architects of artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is not even a real thing. And people are starting to push back from AI. So, yeah, that's a chop. That's a chop on that. Okay. Panem, I really want to know. Can we get a gay romance subplot? Yeah, okay, and good luck with that. It's a shame studios have little faith in their own movies. For I remember correctly, Jennifer Lawrence nor Josh Hutcherson were not big names before the first Hunger Games. Yeah, they weren't, and that's funny because they weren't known. They pretty much were like unknown. I mean, we had seen Josh Hutcherson and things here and there. Like he was like that go-to child actor who would pop up in everything, like the sequel to Jumanji, which was Zathura, and so many other films. And Jennifer Lawrence was doing a lot of small little independent films. But yeah, those movies basically put them on the map. And it wasn't that long ago. It was like what, 10 years ago? Like 2014 or something or another. And here y'all go, not having faith in these new crop of kids. And it's like, yeah, give them a chance to have their moment. And not think that we have to pay fans over, because that's kind of like the era we're in now. Everything is fan service. We got a nostalgia bait, all of that mess. What I love most about Hunger Game movies is the accompanying soundtrack. The songs were always inspired by Appalachian folk music, including the Rodrigo and T-Whip songs for this. Oh, you swinging for the tree. I put it to rest. He said this is nitpicking, but Katniss speaks with an Appalachian accent in the book, and she doesn't in the films. Well, that's because they have a maybe they what they should have did was have an indigenous lead. But you gotta, of course, they gotta put white people in the forefront of stuff. hmm Genuine casting and the talent and the chemistry and all that good stuff. Persactly. All right, now that we got the movie, the movie news stuff out of the way, I guess we got to get into more of the business side of the movie industry and get into David Ellison and his desperate attempt to still get his hands on Warner Brothers Discovery, which I remember someone saying today, I was not only about the news media and stuff. They don't just want us to, well, trust and believe. When I get to that story, oh, that's definitely what he wants. And he even said it, apparently, according to his report, he's telling Trump that if he got his hands on Warner Brothers, that yes, he'll clean up CNN for you. Similar what they're doing over there with CBS, which, funny enough, Gayle King just admitted today, oh yeah, we got issues and stuff over here, but things are gonna work. And so I said, girl, your days is numbered over there. If you're not willing to cut to all that Zionist propaganda bullshit, you're gonna be unemployed. I guess you're gonna be hitting Oprah up with some coins. So David Ellison, the CEO of Paramount Skydance, who has launched a hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers, went in, and we talked about it the other day. He issued a letter to the shareholder saying that how he would, the time is still, you know, on our side. I can still prove like I'm the guy for the job. It's like, sir, you just bought Paramount. Can you figure out what's going on and fixing whatever you got going on over there before you try to monopolize another studio? And it's funny how more people are pissed off at Netflix, who isn't even a studio. They're a streaming service who want to have their own studio. And yet I'm still on the fence about the possibility that, okay, so what are y'all intentions? Like, are y'all going to treat Warner Brothers Discovery like you treat Netflix as just some content thing that you just regurgitate or throw up and then people just consume it without you actually nurturing it or giving a damn about the product that you're putting in? Or do you genuinely want to be a part of the studio situation and really let the people who are at Warner Brothers do what they're doing? There's evil ulterior motives that I see going on with David Ellison and Paramount and stuff. And this is one of the reasons why I've been windmilling hard over this. And funny enough, shout out to Kyle Kalinske because I've been shouting from the rooftops about this for weeks. And he did a story on this yesterday, which is why I found about the Substack, which I'm going to bring up in here on this story. But let's get into this first. So it says, though the deal isn't quite officially official, because there's still some things for Netflix to iron out with Warner Brothers Discovery. It looks like Netflix will ultimately claim ownership of WBD after the company accepted the streaming giant's $82.7 billion offer this week. Paramount Skydance was not happy, to say the least, about the development, and CEO David Ellison is determined not to go down without a fight. Well, sir, you lost. Pick up your, go pick yourself up, go in the room, take out the iodine or whatever, fix up your wounds, boop, 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 and then, move on. Apparently, he don't know how to take no for an answer. I guess it is true. Maybe Larry Ellison is like Trump. They don't like losers, even though they probably the biggest losers under the sun. And just because you got billions of dollars, don't necessarily mean you're a winner. There's a lot of idiots with a lot of money running around, governing and in charge of things of what we have going on right now. And people need to stop equating wealth with being smart. So Paramount Skydance, as I said, was not happy. And then they said that Paramount has already submitted a hostile bid worth $108.4 billion, saying, look, we're sitting on Wall Street where cash is still king. And I don't like that figure of you having a connection with Wall Street. Zoran, you got a lot of work cut out for you once you get sworn in next month. We are offering shareholders $17.6 billion more cash than the deal they currently have signed up with Netflix. And we believe when they see what is currently in our offer, that that's what they'll vote for. They said Zaslav has 10 business days from the date the bid was submitted to turn down Netflix's offer and weigh up other options. And Ellison has now gone straight to Warner Brothers Discovery's board of directors. Oh, you trying to go behind David Zaslav's back. David Zaslav, who, yeah, there's been some decisions that he's made that I know a lot of people aren't proud of, but he turned around the market value on Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery was in the toilet, or Warner Brothers, I should say, was in the toilet when it was under the guise of AT&T. He turned that turd into a diamond, and that was worth something. And so you going behind his back to go to. I mean, at the end of the day, the shareholders have to make the decision. But it's like, no, I don't want tech billionaires, oligarchs, Israel, and Saudi Arabia owning our media. Because that's where we're going. And I'm going to get to the break that story down in a second. But I'm just saying, like, in my mind, I'm like, no, I don't want all of them. And Jared Kushner is behind this mess. So they said our public offer, identical to the terms we presented to Warner Brothers Discovery privately, delivers superior value and a faster, more certain path to completion than the transaction announced with Netflix. It is not too late to realize the benefits of Paramount's proposal if you choose to act now and tender your shares. Our offer is financially superior to Netflix's transaction, which provides Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders with lower value, less cash, and significantly less certainty. On its face, Netflix is offering Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders 23.25 per share, 23.25 per share in cash, let's say 450 in stock, and a share in Warner Brothers Discovery Global Network spinoff. In reality, however, the total value is materially lower than advertised. Then he went and put Zaslav on blast, saying to suggest that we are not good for the money or might commit fraud. Please, that's exactly what this is. To try to escape our obligations, as certain reports have speculated, is absurd. That absurdity is underscored by the fact that WBD and its advertisers never picked up the phone or typed out a responsive text or email to raise any questions or concern or to seek any clarification about either the trust or our equity commitment papers. Well, I'm thinking that David just didn't like the way you was rolling. He didn't like what you was all about. He's seeing a lot of things and hearing things, just like you heard somebody went and chirped in your ear before the deal was made that that David Zaslav was going to Netflix. Hence why you went and sent out that shady, strongly worded letter sharing your disdain. Then we had, according to the LA Times, Michelle Fendelander, I think is how you say her name, alleged that if Netflix deal were to go through, it would decrease competition in the subscription streaming market. The lawsuit asked the court to issue an injunction to prevent the merger from happening. Well, they're trying all these little stunts and shows to try to make sure this doesn't happen. But then it was this thing that I came across in regards of why they may have lost the deal. And it's funny, like, this is something he's not willing to tell you. Apparently, them getting in bed with Saudi Arabia is the reason why they lost the bet. So they said that the Warner Brothers Discovery sale process has been nothing short of a roller coaster. After months of which it looked like David Ellison's Paramount Skydance would acquire the company, Netflix swooped in and delivered the best offer in the second round of bids. It was then revealed the streamer had won the auction, and shortly after that, it was officially announced that Netflix would acquire WBD for $27.75 per share, totaling $82.7 billion with a $72 billion equity value. The story, however, did not end there. Following the announcement, Paramount Skydance submitted a hostile bid for the company, offering $30 per share, totaling approximately $108.4 billion with an equity value of $77.9 billion. The move shocked many in the industry, yet according to information offered by a new report, the sweetened offer might not be enough to sway Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders. This because the source of the company's funds is said to have been an issue in the auction. Semaphore reports that a major reason that led to David Ellison run company to lose the WBD auction was its backing by Middle Eastern funds. Variety reported earlier in December that Paramount has secured, yeah, I remember hearing this story, and they tried to deny it, has secured funding from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, and Qatar Investment Authority. As reported by Semaphore, the wealth funds provided $24 billion of Paramount's initial offer for WBD, as well as the company's $108.4 billion hostile bid, and an estimated 30% of the offer. It's those funds that reportedly made Warner Brothers Discovery feel unsure about the bid, per the site. According to security filings and sources, saying, quote, the guarantees on that money, specifically on how and when those dollars would clear, according to people familiar with the matter, were fuzzy enough to give Warner's board one more reason to go with Netflix's $83 billion offer. There appear to be more details on the matter, though David Ellison and his father, Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, are reported to have contributed $40 billion toward the offer alongside backer Redbird Capital, both the second one and his latest hostile one. According to the outlet, however, the Ellisons, the report does not specify if Redbird Capital was involved in the strategy, purportedly plan to partly pay yourselves back for the investment through the funds provided by the Middle Eastern partners. Oh, no, y'all not trying to do no old scam bullshit, which is not surprising because I went over there and licked the crack of Trump ass to even get that deal through with Paramount. But I don't want to go through that whole article because that's the comic book movie one, because I feel like they probably don't have all the deep surface stuff. I mean, the deep stuff. I feel like y'all hit the surface of it. But let's go a little deeper with this story. So I came across this Substack called what's it called? Popular Information. And I was like, I could use it as a point of reference because I feel like this is where you really get down to the nitty gritty. So it says, on Monday morning, hold on, because I got to go back up. On Monday morning, Paramount announced a $77.9 billion hostile takeover offer for Warner Brothers Discovery, an American media conglomerate that owns an iconic movie studio, HBO, and other news and entertainment properties. The offer is meant to upend Netflix's deal to purchase WBD for 72 million or billion, sorry, would it be? Which WBD accepted last Friday. Paramount's press release announcing the offer says that the $40 billion in equity financing will be backstopped by Ellison family and Redbird Capital. The CEO of Paramount is David Ellison, the son of Oracle founder Larry Ellison, the second wealthiest person in the world. Redbird Capital is an investment fund based in New York. The rest of the cash for the purchase will be raised as debt from American banks. So y'all gonna be, I can't. What is not mentioned in the press release is that while the equity financing is backstopped by American individuals and entities, the majority of the equity financing, $24 billion to be exact, comes from the sovereign wealth funds of Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, and Qatar. The fact is buried on page 42 of a separate SEC filing. 24 billion is a massive investment for foreign governments on Paramount's behalf. To put it in perspective, the current value of Paramount is just $15 billion. Also participating in the deal is Affinity Partners, the private equity firm run by President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Nearly all of Affinity Partners' assets come from the same sovereign wealth funds bankrolling the proposed Paramount takeover of WBD. Kushner collects tens of millions of fees from Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries annually. I also heard that he was kind of like how Trump is a Russian agent, how he be spilling tea to Putin, that Kushner was doing the same thing over with the Saudis, allegedly. So Kushner's involvement in the deal highlights the ongoing legal and ethical problems with his dual role. On one hand, Kushner is operating as a high-ranking official representing the Trump administration in the most sensitive foreign policy matters. And y'all thought that Jared stepped down from the politics. Oh no, he's been lurking in the shadows. Kind of like I still believe Elon Musk is. Where they sit him here pretending like they not friends no more. I was like, where was I? On the other hand, he is being paid by and partnering with Middle Eastern governments as they seek to expand their political, economic, and cultural interests. And hence why they try to indoctrinate America. Because look, when I was watching that video the other day of that fundraiser that was thrown by Miriam Adelson, you know, that old Zionist, see you next Tuesday. And you had Hillary Clinton wide back ass sitting on that chair with them Zionists sitting there cucking and talking about the young people don't know what they talking about. They get all their information from TikTok and all that other stuff. This is the same freaking thing where it's just like Israel, Saudi Arabia, and these corporate oligarchs like the Ellisons are trying to buy up all of our movies, all of our media, and be able to control what it is that we watch, how we get our information. And this is what's literally going to be happening right now. You already see, like, the minute they got CBS, I mean, yeah, the minute they acquired Paramount and all them layoffs that happened, because I was hearing there was a lot of whispers about layoffs when I was doing the drag race thing. Because drag race is a part of Paramount and CBS. So then they hired Barry Weiss, and she's trying to turn CBS to be very conservative. I don't know if they had her on there yet. Tammy Faye Faker, aka Charlie Kirk, widow, Erica. I don't know if she's been on there yet, but she's supposed to do like a town hall with her. And they've been talking about how Barry's trying to turn herself into Andy Cohen, except Andy Cohen has a bunch of talent and then he presents himself as like the host, the face of the network. But the word on the curb is Barry trying to turn herself into being like the overall face of CBS and trying to make it all about her and all this other stuff. And even trying to go around creating a conservative version of The View. So just think five Mega McCain sitting or Nutmeg McCain sitting at the table talking a bunch of Zionist propaganda. So yeah, this is what's going on right now. And I told you, first they're gonna start with dismantling our government and looting the treasury and all that other stuff. Then we go into fascism project 2025 number 2, which would be infiltrating our media. So yeah, you get to formulate the narrative of what type of movies we watch, what type of shows we watch, and what type of propaganda you want the writers that y'all hire at that studio to propagandize, what type of stuff they want to put in those films, especially if it's about the military or you watch a lot of those action films. They put a lot of that right wing leaning propaganda. And so sometimes when I look back and I watch old movies, I watch certain movies now, and it's when you have the knowledge that you have, it's like, when you really look at it, and I love, that I was born and raised in America, but America is the enemy of a lot of, we've stuck in our nose and involved ourselves with so many other people's misery, always trying to put our democratic ideologies on other countries. When I feel like y'all use that and it's a mask for colonization because I want to take people oil, you want to take all these other people resources, and then you've indoctrinated a lot of us to believe or conditioned us to believe that what you're doing is for the better good of the country. No, it's the better good of y'all and how it fattens your pockets and whatever business there. This is why I always say business people should not be running you know, business people should not be running a country. There's a reason why we have the checks and balances and things we have in this world. So they also went on to say that any acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery just requires the approval of the multiple federal agencies. On Sunday, the day before the Paramount household takeover bid was announced, Trump warned that Netflix planned acquisition could be a problem because the combined company would have too much market share. Didn't he say also recently or something that whoever gets Warner Brothers Discovery that they need to get rid of CNN or something or another? So he might have said the quiet part out loud. It was somewhat surprising comment from a president who has not made antitrust a central issue in his presidency. Trump also emphasized that while he would consult some economics or economists, he would also purposely be involved in the decision. He always wants to assert himself as some shit. He causes the mess and then acts like he's cleaning it up. Now, Ted Sarandos, Netflix CEO, reportedly wooed Trump at the White House in advance of the company's WBD offer. Netflix agreed to pay Warner Brothers Discovery $5.7 billion if the deal did not receive regulatory approval, one of the largest breakup fees ever. This reflected Netflix's confidence that the deal would win Trump administration approval, at least before Kushner became involved. A reporter asked Trump on Monday if Kushner's involvement with Paramount could influence his views. He said, I don't know. I've never spoken with him about it. Well, I don't know if I believe that. And here's the thing, because it came out also, Paramount is, and you see it, they're willing to conform to Trump's ideological agenda. Because what I was hearing also, that once David Ellison became the CEO of Paramount in August, he made a deal with Trump and was like, if you give us the deal and you push for that to go through, we'll pretty much destroy CNN for you because they're over there talking about you. They're saying all these unflattering things. You got to play into his ego because the man's sensitive. Like he, even before the what do you call it, the Alzheimer's was Alzheimering. He used to have people that would always find stories about him and bring it to him, even if it wasn't about him. They had to put it in like little cliff note terms. And there were even stories that would come out that he would call up and act like he was his own publicist or whatever, and do interviews on behalf of Trump when it was him on the phone. So this is somebody whose ego, who always wanted to be in the movie business, who always wanted to be a part of the industry. We even have, what was it? Melania is getting into producing. I was like, where was that story? I might have closed that out. Where it was like, she has a documentary that they did with Paramount. Was it Paramount? Or no, it was Amazon Prime. They said the documentary was like $40 million. I'm like, who pays that much money for a documentary? And before Trump got into politics, he wanted to get in the movie producing business. So yeah, this is it's a long interview because there was just something like in September, CBS announced that it hired Kenneth R. Weinstein to receive and evaluate any complaints of bias or other concerns involving CBS as the company's new ombudsman. Paramount had promised to create the job to secure approval of its merger with Skydance. Weinstein had no experience with producing or overseeing news coverage and previously was the president of the Hudson Institute, a right-wing think tank. Weinstein has an extensive record of praising Trump, and in July 2024, Weinstein donated $20,000 to a committee supporting Trump's campaign. And this is what actually all goes on. It's like, you hire people with no kind of experience at that job. So, and he doesn't want people who are experienced or qualified. They hate DEI. They want people who are loyalists. That's what he wants. And then, of course, they mentioned Barry Weiss, where CBS, what was it saying that the anti-woke crusader? I can't with y'all. She's an idiot. And they went and Paramount purchased her the Free Press for $150 million. And she was a New York Times opinion editor and writer. She has no experience in broadcast news, but in 2021, she founded the Free Press, a right-leaning publication that often criticizes what it deems the woke left and efforts to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Unless you're trying to not include them and stuff. A popular information review of the Free Press articles found that it repeatedly distorted the truth in order to conform to right-wing ideological agenda. And then they mentioned how Larry Ellison is an ally to Trump. The foreigners trying to here's the thing. I just don't want foreign ownership coming into our stuff. If y'all want to produce movies over there in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and all this stuff, you go ahead and do that. That's what we liked about the whole thing about our country. We produce things out here, and if you want to outsource it to other places, we could do that. Y'all do y'all stuff over here. We don't want y'all to come over here and start throwing y'all money in our stuff, and then all of a sudden you're propagandizing our things, and now your ideologies, because we're supposed to be a far more progressive country than these other older countries, but you're letting foreign financial interest indoctrinate creativity, free speech, and art, and freedom of the press, art, and artistic expression, what have you. So they say in the SEC filing regarding the offer, Paramount claims that it has structured the deal to be outside of was it CFIUS? CFIUS's jurisdiction. Our other outside financing partners, Public Investment Fund, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Limad Holding Company, Qatar Investment Authority, the Affinity Partners, which Jared Kushner have agreed to forego any governance rights, including board representation and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's a whole lot with this whole story. I thought it was fascinating, and I just wanted to show this is basically what they're trying to do and why David Ellison is pissed off that they haven't gotten their hands on Paramount. I mean, not Paramount, on Warner Brothers Discovery. Yes, it's about eating up all of the studio, swallowing it all up, monopolizing it, and having control over how media is received. Now, y'all already know I don't particularly care for legacy media. I don't care for getting or watching like I don't watch the CBSs, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the LMNOPs, or MS Now, whatever stupid name they have. I don't watch any of those things because I feel like y'all not really giving the real information. You're giving the information out there based off of what the people at the top want those of us down here, the type of information they want us to get. So I'm not here for it. I'm not here for this merger with Paramount getting the hands of y'all know I've been against that from the damn beginning. And as someone who plays heavily close to politics, this would be excruciatingly dangerous for, of course, everything leads to Trump, Kushner, all these other people. Why is this man in everything? You're doing everything but actually being a damn president. So yeah, I was like, I don't want to go anymore into that story. It was a lot. It's just too much. And I don't want to be on here all night trying to dissect that story. But anyway, yeah, that's it for now. I pretty much think y'all got the gist. And so I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Not to be shady, but I saw you use a song by AI artists on TikTok when you were posting the red carpet looks. I didn't notice. And another thing, what I didn't notice either, I didn't even know that background music and stuff was even being put in because one, I was eating and drinking a lot, and so I was doing that at the same time. And the music, because Monet was DJing, um, I couldn't hear what was going on my phone. So I should have probably did it in a more quieter setting so I could see and know what was going on. So yeah, I didn't know what was happening. So I just uploaded the pictures and it is what it is. But yeah, I was doing everything there and said I should have waited till I got home. It's already sold there. So well, yeah. Well, a lot of these conglomerates did. If I if I don't like what happens, I will vote with my dollars. Yeah, we just won't support. I mean, I don't watch CNN. I mean, it's unavoidable only because in certain situations, if I'm watching like certain political pundits that are doing reaction videos to certain clips over there on CNN, then I'll watch. But at this point, I've realized that a lot of what's going on over on CNN is rage bait. And so I no longer engage in the buffoonery because I'm like, if CNN's continue to have morons like Scott Jennings with that smug, stupid look on his face up there on that panel with Abby Jacobs, when it's like, man, why are you letting CNN use you like this? They are basically just using you and you letting them. So when you have her on there, and then you have recently Stephen Miller's wife on the panel, I was like, I can't sit and assert myself in this performance because I already know what y'all giving with all of this mess. Y'all keep trying to reach across the aisle and talk to these lunatics, and y'all know they're not coming in here interested in like, let's sit down, let's have a debate and come to an understanding on what I believe is what I believe, what you believe is what you believe, and let's come to a common ground. They're not interested in that. They're in there to be loud, wrong, spew all kinds of misinformation and propaganda and keep it moving. Stephen A. Smith and that five head and a bunch of others. And shout out to Joy Reid that read his ass. That literally was like, you're the errand boy for these racist white folks. You get paid millions of dollars to spew misinformation. Him and Van Jones. Don't even get me started on that old lisping homosexual, allegedly. But he gives me rhymes with maggot teas. Corruption definitely is a disease, and it's hard to cure it. Just like drug addiction. Ask Andy Dick. But anyway, let's move on from that, and then let's get into this next story. Let's talk about Tom Cruise. Now, apparently, Tom Cruise, um, you know, he's struggling a little bit out here in the box office world because his last two Mission Impossibles did not do all that well financially, which probably plays into why a lot of studios aren't willing to give him the big budgets that he's been accustomed to throughout majority of his 40-plus-year career. Because there was some movie that he was supposed to be doing with Ana de Armas. I don't know if it's still happening or if they've just decided to put it to bed. But that I don't know what happened with that film. Also, there was a film I remember they were talking about where they wanted to actually be the first film to shoot in outer space. And this is the film apparently that they were saying that, oh yeah, go to Donald Trump and see if you can get the money or whatever the case is. And he said he wouldn't do it. But before we get to that story, there was another story that came out because we was talking about David Ellison and Paramount and stuff earlier and Mission Impossible. So apparently they're saying that he had to figure out how he was going to come up with the rest of the money for Mission Impossible. I was like, do I have that? Yeah, I do. I was like, where the picture at? Showing me the money. The Mission Impossible movies are known for their larger-than-life action sequences and big budgets. And also, let's not forget that, Tom Cruise spends a lot of time for the movies doing like those extravagant stunts and stuff for the film. And it's cool or whatever that he does it, but it becomes a bit obnoxious after a while. The franchise experienced a considerable popularity boost in the early 2010s, but it no longer appears to be the audience draw it once was, and its last two installments struggling to recoup their investment. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning made $571 million, a disappointing result given its reported $291 million budget. So yeah, if you're doing $291 billion, that's $300 million. 571, that is not, you didn't get a return on the investment. You need to at least do, I would say 800 or better in order to bring that money back in. 700, 750, 800 or more. But what was the budget on? I was like, well, what was the final reckoning? Let me see if they mentioned it here. Okay, they said the latest and apparently last installment in the franchise, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, brought in $598 million against a staggering $400 million budget. Indeed, the brand's financial visibility has been, that's crazy that the budget was twice the amount because it was almost 300 million. This new one was 400. The last movie was shy of $600 million. That's bad. And the thing with Final Reckoning, that was a long, even though now it's available on Paramount Plus, we haven't seen it. That's a long ass movie, and y'all took way too long to get to the action. So I can see why people's feeling it. But I will say this: that final sequence with the plane and the sequence before with the submarine, those were some jaw dropping sequences. I ain't gonna hold them on that. Them sequences was fire, but overall, the story was just too long. It was convoluted. The whole AI thing, the entity, and it was like that whole storyline is stupid. I wish I would have just kept it like a good old fashioned cool action sequences and all that other stuff and kept it that way. So the movie's finances are now being reported to have caused a rift between franchise star Tom Cruise and Paramount CEO David Ellison. The Hollywood Reporter published a report on Paramount's work culture near the end of the story. The trade revealed, a reported conflict between the two. Per THR, during a meeting regarding the budget for the final two Mission Impossible films, initially billed as Part 1 and Part 2, Cruise requested an extra tens of millions of dollars for production. In response, Ellison reportedly suggested him to find some of the money on his own. This is said to have upset the actor, so much so that he reportedly wouldn't attend any production or marketing meetings if Ellison was in the room. Ultimately, it said the company acquiesced to the task and provided him with the extra funds. According to THR's Skydance sources, though, there was no conflict between Cruise and Ellison. When the rift was put into question, it looks like Cruise and Ellison have a better working relationship now, or you say for now, as THR stated the actor visited Paramount Studios to pay his respects to the new leadership. Well, if you're going to be in business with these people and you did make them a lot of money with Top Gun Maverick, and you do want Top Gun 3 to get made, which we're hearing that is in the works, Thomas got to play nice. So, yeah, I would have been pissed and not want to show up at certain events, but it's just like, yeah, but you got to play nice, especially when you try to have these people finalize or fund your film. And to be honest, I was like, yeah, I'm not that mad at Paramount. I mean, even though I'm mad at Paramount for a bunch of other things, I'm not necessarily mad at them that they weren't willing to give him the money up front because that's way too much money to be spent. $400 million on a movie. Where's that budget going to? Is it going to like all the handcrafted sets or whatever the case is, or the crazy year you spend like perfecting a stunt before you film it? So I appreciate Tom for going out of his way to give us the cool stunts and everything, but that's a whole lot of money to be spending on a movie. But anyway, speaking now, in addition to that, he has a movie that he's working on where, like I said, he's supposed to be going into space. And he needed money for that film. I guess an extra, you know, cointada in the budget. And they said that he would not go to Donald Trump to get that money. So back in 2020, Deadline reported that Mission Impossible star was aiming to shoot a film in outer space with his Edge of Tomorrow director Doug Liman and cooperation from SpaceX and NASA. 5 years later, an insider familiar with the filmmakers told Page Six of the ambitious project. From what I understand, they would need NASA coordination to do the movie, and supposedly Tom Cruise did not want to ask Donald Trump for a favor. You need permission from the federal government, which, of course, the federal government does have its hands in a lot of, things. The source added Tom didn't want to ask for political reasons, probably because he doesn't politically affiliate with Trump, which should be fine. Like, my thing is, if I'm going to go and have a conversation with someone to get permission from the federal government to go shoot a sequence in space, what my political beliefs are should not hinder you from granting me what I need to grant. But we know this administration is petty as hell, and all they care about is who's going to be loyal, who's going to pledge allegiance to them, who's going to kiss their ass. I'm not here to do all that. I'm here to meet up with you, have a conversation, see if I can get what I need to get this movie made, and you just give the sign off on it, and let's get going. Cruz has stayed largely apolitical over the years, and the source said he did not want to alienate fans by starting now. The Washington Post reported earlier this year that Cruz turned down a recent 2025 Kennedy Center honor from Trump, citing scheduling. Oh yeah, I didn't hear that. He was not trying to do the whole Kennedy Center honor. Well, them plastic surgery victims, Sylvester Stallone and Gene Simmons, had no problem showing up, and Miss Shifty with Gloria Gaynor, who couldn't survive the hackulation of her makeup artist, she showed her ass that night too. A Trump appointed NASA, they said a Trump appointed NASA head previously expressed support for the cruise space project, even indicating via tweet it could shoot on the International Space Station. But the NASA official said the tweet was long gone, and Space Insiders told Page Six there have never been any further discussions inside the space agency about the film. Trump appointed NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine confirmed the project would involve the ISIS at the time of Deadline's initial report, tweeting NASA is excited to work with at Tom Cruise on a film aboard the at space underscore station. We need popular media to inspire a new generation of engineers and science and to make NASA's ambitious plans a reality. Well, I actually hope that he gets this movie made because one of the things I do love NASA, I love space stuff, I love science, I love science fiction, I like all that stuff. So if this can find this movie a way to get made, if there's some death-defying stunts that they're gonna put in it, then let it happen. But I'm not licking the crack of nobody's ass and having to pledge allegiance to your political ideologies in order to get permission to have a movie made in the locations that I want to have it made. Be it I can do it at the space station, or we can do it in space. So um who knows if this movie will get made at this point, because Doug Liman, wasn't there a story I believe that was coming out that he was pissed off about the Roadhouse movie and how Prime Video did him dirty, and now they have Roadhouse 2 coming out, and as a protest he was going to simultaneously direct his Roadhouse movie to go against that movie. There was a whole story that came out about that like a couple of months ago. So Doug Liman apparently is going to be busy doing stuff. I think Tom Cruise is doing stuff. So who knows if this movie will ever get made, but it would be interesting to see it. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the fact that, yeah, Tom Cruise had to struggle at one point, according to the reports, to get a budget or to get the money to finish the Final Reckoning. And him having to go and allegedly kiss the ring, Trump's ring, in order to get a space movie made, but he was like, I'm not doing it because I'm not going to cause a divide within my fan base by me going over there and associating with the stupidest president we've ever had since George W. Bush. With all that being said, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. This dipping his hands where they don't belong is why Trump is looking a mess lately. Before his blonde hair matched his orange face, now he's grayer with his hair, and allegedly has the A word like his daddy did. But they say his father passed away from Alzheimer's at 86. Well, my question is, if you're the president and you dealing with a whole lot of stress, right? Wouldn't that speed up the recovery? I mean, wouldn't that speed up the process? Just asking. All right, now since we were talking about some medical stuff, let's talk about Kelly Osbourne because apparently the people's out here reading her over the fact they said she looked half past dead because, like, girl, you lost so much weight, and people, rightfully so, are criticizing her because they see what they see. And so, of course, Kelly being Kelly, she's clapped back. She's looking so much on the right, like her mother. Um, what's the mother name? Sharon. About as skinny and oh, she looked old. You know what she looked like in that picture on the right? Sideshow Bob. Or is that just me? Now, during his interview with her mother, Sharon Osbourne, British broadcaster Piers Morgan, who shout out to Piers because that interview you did with Nick Fuentes was a cackle. I was cackling the whole time because that's how we found out that Nick Fuentes is a virgin. I'm like, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised at all. You know, these little boys that run around, or these man babies that run around hating women and stuff. It's like, yeah, you ain't never had stuck your dick in a pussy, let alone seen one. That's why you mad. And you hate women so much because they won't give your ass the time of day. Maybe because you really don't like women, allegedly. But anyway, let's get back into the story. So, British broadcaster Piers Morgan ran a since deleted clip that Kelly posted to Instagram in which she blasted critics who have been commenting on her body. In the video, the former reality star admitted that she's been struggling with eating since her dad died July 22nd at the age of 76 following a series of health issues. She said, to the people who keep thinking you're being funny and mean by writing comments like, are you ill? Or get off Ozempic. You don't look right. My dad just died and I'm doing the best that I can. And the only thing that I have to live for right now is my family. And I choose to share my content with you and share the happy side of my life, not the miserable side of my life. She then shifted the tone, adding, so to all those people, well, signature Kelly, fuck off. Now, after Morgan ran the clip, Sharon defended her daughter, saying she's right. She lost her daddy. She can't eat right now. Kelly, who has a 3-year-old son, Sid, has been candid about her battle with grief following her father's death. In the week after the former Black Sabbath frontman's funeral on July 30th, she shared an Instagram story and thanked her fans for their support and updated them on her emotional state. She said, the love, support, and beautiful messages I received from so many of you have truly helped me through the hardest moments in my life. Every kind word, every shared memory, every bit of compassion, she meant more than I can ever explain. Grief is a strange thing. It sneaks up on you in waves. I will not be okay for a while, she said, but she admitted, but said the fact that her family is not alone in their pain makes a difference. She said, I'm holding on tight to the love, the light, and the legacy left behind. Thank you for being there. I love you all so much. And here's the thing, I could never imagine, well, at the moment, I'll say this, I can't imagine what it's like to lose a parent. I have my parents here with me at the moment, but God forbid that time comes where they get called home. I'm sure I'm going to have to go through those 5 elements of grief, and it does sneak up on you when you're dealing with certain things. So yeah, she's going through it right now. She's depressed. And it's so easy to get up on somebody and mock them for how they look. Somehow, oh, they look half past dead, which I did say that before I pull up the picture. And or you look like y'all didn't live off that Ozempic. But yeah, on the flip side, it's like, yeah, we understand your father passed away. And it takes time for you to be able to get over that, which you never, sidebar, you never do get over losing a parent. Um, we can't deny that there's this ongoing thing going around about Ozempic, Mounjaro. A lot of girls who don't need it be up in here using it because they want to perpetuate a certain aesthetic, and they think looking skeletal is chic. It's like we bring a heroin chic back. Remember that from the days of what was her name? Um, And I see her face in my head too. Her daughter's a model, not Sydney Crawford. It'll come to me. But yeah, there was a whole heroin chic era back in the 90s. And this kind of reminded me of. It'll be sad of that. Yeah, she's like using her father. I'm hoping that she's not doing that, but using her father, Kate Moss. So I know it's gonna come to me. Um, it would be kind of sad if she's using her father as an excuse to like play up this Hollywood craze of, oh yeah, you're taking the Mounjaro, you're taking the Ozempic, which of course the effects are it suppresses your appetite, and then the weight and stuff comes off. But it was like, I liked how Kelly looked on the left. But she did say something at one point. I was like, oh, well, you're comparing me to how I was when I had the purple hair and I was in my 20s. I'm in my 40s now. And so it's like, girl, we're not, I mean, maybe there are some people out there that's doing that, but we're not doing that in that sense. I just feel like, yeah, we all know that you get older, you're not always gonna maintain that same look that you had 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You need to let people like people need to learn to evolve and grow and stuff. And that's what it seemed like she's doing. But yeah, you don't look healthy on the right hand side. And I understand that you're grieving, but you're no good no longer being a part of the union if you don't take care of yourself. You're not feeding if you're not nourishing your body and stuff. So I guess take care of yourself. I hope you end up taking care of yourself and like you're being here for your family, being here for your mother. Um, but she also said, like, yeah, when y'all say the stuff that y'all been saying, the comments do get to her. And I was like, I totally get it. You're a human. So yeah, um, it is gonna bother you. So let this girl grieve. Stop talking about her body. Because remember, y'all did that before with Chadwick Boseman was talking all that shit. And what happened? He had the cancer. And now he's no longer with us. So just be mindful of some of the stuff that y'all be saying out here about people. That's all. So I say all that to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Kelly Osbourne firing back at her critics because y'all talking about she a little too skinty? And she like, look, my father died. I'm not in the mood to be eating food or whatever the case is, but girl, you're gonna need the energy because if you have a son, you need to be here for him to do things with him and not just be wallowing in your misery because you lost your dad. I mean, you can have those moments when you grieve in private or when you put the kid to bed or whatever the case is, but take better care of yourself. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Oh, like which one's this? Oh, I got it. I was like, did I make this? Did I mess this up? But this the way I got it, so this is the way we're gonna do it. Okay, so now let's get into this Amanda Seyfried story. So apparently they coming for her because she threw some shade at Charlie Kirk. And this is about to be quite interesting because you have two women who are in the housemaid. One who is very much calling out Charlie Kirk, and rightfully so, for being the bigot that he is and financially benefiting from causing division amongst people and spewing hate and vitriol for a check and being a clear grifter like his wife is Tammy Faye Faker, which is what I'm going to be calling her from now on. And then you have on the other side, MAGA Barbie, Sydney Sweeney, who's trying to do a whole rebrand because when she was over there on the side of the MAGA boys, and that whole situation, and they weren't supporting her movies, now she wants to come out and say I'm against hate, but she was all for it when she did the little what was it the denim jeans ad. So with all that being said, Amanda Seyfried is not doubling down on what she I mean is double not doubling, she is doubling down. She said, I said what I said, and I ain't changing it. So Amanda Seyfried is not fucking apologizing for calling Charlie Kirk hateful after his death. Kirk, a right-wing political commentator who founded the group Turning Point USA, was pow-powed and unalive during a campus event at Utah State University on September 10th. He was 31. Well, you know what they always say, fuck around and find out. After Kirk's death, Amanda Seyfried, who was 40, commented he was hateful on an Instagram post about the shooting. Her comment received backlash at the time, and she later clarified her comments in a September Instagram post, September 17th to be exact. I mean, he was hateful, but a lot of people don't like the truth when you bring it to them because he gets to justify their misogyny and their homophobia and their transphobia and their racism and all the isms. So she went on to clarify by saying the following. She said, "We're forgetting the nuance of humanity. I can get angry about misogyny and racist rhetoric and also very much agree that Kirk's murder was absolutely disturbing and imaginable. No one should have to experience this level of violence. This country is grieving too many senseless and violent deaths and shootings. Can we agree on that at least?" And that's what I love about when actors say that, because to me, that is more valid as just being all what Kristen Chenoweth did, which is why she was getting dragged. Oh, I feel so bad that they killed that poor Charlie Kirk. It's like, no, you can, two things can exist at the same time. You can be upset about a person making a living financially and any other kind of, and benefiting, I should say, off of spewing hatred, racist rhetoric, misogyny on college campuses where those minds are the most impressionable because boys' brains don't develop until they're 25. So you got enough time to get up in there and indoctrinate a bunch of kids who don't really know how to compress or compartmentalize and understand a lot of what is being said. So you can go up in there and impress a lot of those minds. Because I remember at one point, Republicans were in the water. They really didn't have the voice of the youth. It was always older people until, of course, like the Trump administration, and of course, you have Charlie Kirk and so many others, where it's like, oh no, we need to reach out to the youth. Those are where their most impressionable minds are. So we got to start planting those seeds and watching it grow. And all that was happening while the Democrats, of course, wasn't paying attention. And look where we are today. Because I've been over there so busy taking all that damn APAC money and tucking yourselves to Israel and not really paying attention to what was really happening in the good old US of A. So I agree with her on that. It's like, yeah, there's nuances. You have to understand how nuance works. It's like humanity is just not black and white. It's like you can call out the things, you can call out somebody for being hateful, but also say, like, you know what, violence is not the answer. Because when you take that one out, another one is going to pop up. Yes, of course. Until we find ways, we got to figure out what to do with that. Like, why we need stronger gun reform. You see, this boy is unalive. You think these people are so outraged that this would have been the moment they would have been like, you know what? We need stronger gun reform. They haven't done it because then you're taking money out of the NRA's pocket. So this is how far, the rabbit hole, there's layers to this. She said, I don't want to add fuel to the fire. I just want to be able to give clarity to something so irresponsibly but understandably taken out of context. Spirited discourse isn't what we should be having. In a new interview with Who, What, Where, the housemaid star said she refused to apologize. She said, I'm not fucking apologizing for that. I mean, for fuck's sake. Well, damn, she cusses a lot too. I commented on one thing the Oscar nominee told the outlet. I said something that was based on actual reality and actual footage and actual quotes. What I said was pretty damn factual, and I'm free to have an opinion, of course. Thank God for Instagram. I was able to give some clarity, and it was about getting my voice back because I felt like it had been stolen and recontextualized with what people do. Of course, she continued. Kirk was hosting his signature, as you know, Prove Me Wrong event, which I don't know why you call it Prove Me Wrong, because even when you are loud and wrong, you have an agenda that you try to get to regardless. So you believe what you're going to believe, regardless of how people tell it to you. And it's like, it's a waste of my time. I'm wasting my breath. So what's the point of me doing this whole prove me? So the headline for his Prove Me Wrong segment was a cackle. It was all a bunch of BS because we knew he was standing on that foolishness from the beginning. Which I already know what happened when he was doing the Prove Me Wrong situation. And they said it was a part of his American comeback tour where bullets started going off and they took him out. So Tyler Robinson, who they said is not even the real unaliver, is facing multiple charges, including aggravated red rum, after being accused of pow-powing Kirk. You got to come in here and look at these words, and I got to change it up before I can actually say it. Robinson, who was 22, allegedly told his parents that he couldn't go to jail and wanted to end it. Sergeant Ray Ormond of the Utah County Sheriff's Office previously told people in an email that Robinson is currently booked into the special housing unit and that inmates in the unit must wear a unaliving prevention smock at all times. They literally have them wear a smock to prevent themselves from taking their own life. I did not know that. He said our special housing unit does include being on a special watch protocol that includes more supervision and wearing the above smock. In the months since Kirk's unaliving, his widow, Tammy Faye Faker, has taken over his role at Turning Point USA, which I did see an article or it was a tweet or something. The ratings for that is in the toilet. It's not even in the top 10. And it's like because Charlie Kirk believed that women should stay at home and not work. So now you got Erica grieving ass of Grifton. Sorry, not grieving, Grifton ass out here trying to piggyback off of this empire that this boy built, with of course the help of donors, a lot of billionaire donors behind him. And now she's out there trying to take over the mantle. But people don't want to hear his stuff coming from her. Charlie Kirk wanted women to stay in the house. They ain't want her out there working. And she was with the shits until he died. And now she out here trying to act like she the grieving widow. I was like, girl, please. I've seen better acting from them bros over there on the Tubi network. And here you are trying to give Academy Award, Razzie Award winning performances. But shout out to Amanda. I like when the actors come out and speak out and don't and feel like, you know what I said, and I ain't scared of you hoes, and I'm not changing what the hell I said. I stand 10 toes down on it. I'm not gonna be some ignorant dingbat like that old big breasted, droopy titty heifer Sydney Sweeney over there. I'm gonna actually give y'all some context and some nuance and actually come at you as an intellect rather than just some airhead that believes in a lot of right-wing psychopathic ideologies. So there you have it. I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what Amanda said? She said, I said what I said, and I'm not changing what the hell I said. And if you got a problem with it, you can kiss my ass. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. She had become more open to the conservative perspective and opinion. I didn't agree on much with Kirk, but he did leave me willing to hear both sides, which not many people are willing to hear. I listen to both sides, and my usual decision is if it don't come from a place of intellect, because people use emotion and feelings. Feelings is not facts. So if you can't come at it from a place of actual intellect and logic, it's like, okay, you just sound dumb to me. I can't. Like I'm checking out immediately. So, all right, y'all. So now let's talk about some dick. He did. So, Andy Dick yesterday, we saw the video for it. I'm not posting that up on here. I was like, child, look, if you want to see it, y'all can look it up on the social media. But apparently, some person came over and filmed Andy Dick, apparently having an OD. He was out. He was blue. They had to get cold blue. And by cold blue, they had to basically revive him with multiple Narcans. So with all that being said, and me seeing that video, I was like, child, you look ridiculous. But after all that, now he said, they tried to make me go to rehab. And I said, no, no, no. He said he's not going to rehab. That ain't for him. So I was speaking on TMZ on Monday, December 10th. Dick, who's 59, said, I'm not going to be in rehab after being asked whether he'd be willing to seek professional help. Earlier in the clip, Dick made jokes about calling Dr. Drew and questioned the TMZ reporter about whether they should seek help too. Do you think that you're in a good place right now? The photographer asked, as Dick replied, love it. I'm surrounded by my two friends. It'd be hard for me to escape from them, but I will escape. One of his friends acknowledged that the comedian sometimes go through hard times and urged those around him to check up on him. The actor's reps did not immediately respond to people's requests for comment. And what are those hard times? Because if he's going through hard times and he feels like my safe space is to immediately run to doing drugs, then that's a problem. Of course, you got these people that is saying that surround him are these enablers. Because if he's saying he don't need help and he's going through all the things, the worst part is the top of 2026. We hear Andy Dick dead at 59. Do we give our thoughts and prayers, or do we give like, well, you had every opportunity to clean yourself up, and you felt like you didn't hit rock bottom? Like I try to be as empathetic towards addicts as I possibly can, but sometimes y'all make it impossible. Um, the comedian then reportedly spoke to TMZ and told the outlet he was alive and okay, though he did not elaborate on the incident. As previously reported by People, the LAPD confirmed Dick was taken home by a friend after the incident. A LAF, and it says a LAFD spokesperson told the People, I can confirm that we did respond to an intersection on Highland and Yucca at the 7-Eleven. Child, you know, they got 7-Elevens everywhere in freaking LA. There was never a time when I would walk by and there wasn't a 7-Eleven. At 3:14 p.m. for the 59-year-old male, though they declined to confirm the patient's name according to, it said according to the HIPAA law. But we did respond to that location for an OD. He was not transported to the hospital, the LAFD said. The LAFD did respond for an ambulance OD, the LAPD added, while also declining to confirm the subject's name. They said this was a medical emergency issue. Dick, who has 3 adult children, son Lucas, who's 37, Jacob, who's 31, and daughter Meg, who's 28, has struggled with alcohol and drug addiction in the past. In June of 2021, he was also arrested on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon. A rep for the LAPD confirmed to People at the time. He was later released on $50,000 bail. Saying it was just the worst week with him, Dick's former fiancee, Elisa Jordana, said during a live broadcast at the time on her Kermit and Friends YouTube. She got a YouTube show with Kermit? So it was getting worse and worse and worse. And just every day there was some kind of problem. And there were signs that this was going to happen. Jordana split from Dick 1 month after the incident and said that at the time that she felt relieved the comedian was in jail because she believed some people in his circle were more dangerous than people in jail. Dick was also fired from a movie back in 2017 over sexual harassment claims. At the time, he addressed the allegations on The Hollywood Reporter, insisting, no, I didn't grope anybody. I might have kissed somebody on the cheek to say goodbye and then lick them. That's my thing. Well, child, in this day and age, you got to stop putting your tongue on people. You don't know where people's faces is at, and I don't know where your tongue been. So he denied that he intended to commit sexual harassment. Well, look, some people consider that sexual harassment. Maybe there's like, oh, I kissed my chicken, I licked him. They consider that harassment because you harassed my face. Kind of like that girl that I think that we talked about the other day. I need to do an update on that because I did see there was an update. I'm gonna have to do that next week. But the girl that went and lied and went down, delivered that man DoorDash and said that the man flashed her and sexually assaulted her because she decided to go up in the house and put the stuff that when it was said to leave the groceries, or in other words, the food that he ordered because he passed out being drunk. Probably did the order, passed out on the couch, left the door ajar. She put the bag, instead of putting the bag down, she went in the house, saw the man naked, and then created this whole narrative and put it on TikTok. Now her behind is getting in trouble. I said, y'all need to throw her ass in the jail to show an example. But anyway, so yeah, you never know what it is when it comes down to the harassment and all this other stuff. What you consider not harassment, somebody else is going to consider that harassment. But I guess I was referencing the two because this girl went and made up a whole narrative about being sexually harassed, whereas he may not consider what he did to that person sexual harassment, but that person may assist them consider that is because they felt uncomfortable and that's not something they would want you doing, even though that's your thing. That was a thing. And people just looked the other way about it back then, but people are just too sensitive now. Where it comes with, I don't want anybody licking on me, I don't want anybody touching me, and all this other stuff. So you got to be mindful of that. But actually, I've always liked Andy Dick back in the day. What was he on News Radio with Kathy Griffin? And then he also was Daphne Aguilera. Remember that? And so Andy's been out here doing stuff, but I guess we haven't seen him in a month of Sunday. So maybe that's why he's depressed. He's struggling. as an actor. And so to numb those pains and to deal with the demons or whatever it is he got going on, he's been resorting to drugs. So I hope he gets it together before he ends up being the next celebrity that we gonna hear about from all the trades that died from an OD or taking his life, but they'll call it a accidental overdose. So so I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Andy Dick said, I don't have a problem. I ain't going to, I'm not going to rehab. I don't see look, I like to get a little high and cool the brown every now and again, but I don't have a problem. He would say something or another. He likes smoking crack, and I'm like, child. First of all, crack is whack, and number two, I don't think you having to be revived by multiple Narcans was crack. That was something else. You was on that same stuff Matthew Perry was doing. Crime minds want to know. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. You see the pathetic MSNBC. Yeah, that's why I said earlier. I was like that MS now, whatever the hell they call it. That's why I made that comment about MSNBC. I look quiet as it kept. I always thought Andy Dick was gay, so it looked like it's me or did he look like Alaska out of drag? Drag race. Lanier says, I remember when he was on Dancing with the Stars and he talked about overcoming his addiction then. Many were pulling for him after hearing this. Just might sadly be hearing of him passing. Yeah. Like some people just can't seem to. No, addiction is such a hard thing to overcome or to not even. I don't even think you can overcome it. I just think you just have to find a way to maintain it. I mean, you could be correct. He might have. I just don't remember because I haven't been keeping up with him like that. So yeah, you might be right. He probably did come out as bisexual. All right, y'all. Damn, this is the show going by quick. So we got about four more topics left. So before we get to our final four, if you have not already, please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to smash the notification bell. So that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. So without further ado, let's get into this story. So the more I hear about Gwen Stefani, the more I'm starting to really dislike her, and I can't even get into her music no more. Because I was a big Gwen Stefani fan. I loved her, and no doubt, I grew up listening to a lot of her music. I even like the solo stuff she did. But now with this freaking anti-abortion app that she's been promoting, and even going as far as doing puns to her hit songs and changing it up to fit that new church, uber religious, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs cultures demographic, can't get past the white equivalent of plastic tiara, and I'm saying plastic because she got it looked like she got a lot of plastic in that damn face. So, uh, the Tammy Faye of 2000s pop, Gwen Stefani, was dragged on social media after she decided to change the lyrics of her hit single "Hollaback Girl" to promote, her anti-abortion prayer Hallow app. Now, Christmas is a time for giving and sharing, but one unexpected gift from Gwen Stefani, some critics say, should come with a return to sender tag. The No Doubt singer is partnering with prayer app Hallow, a move that blindsided many of her decades-long fans. In a sponsored ad earlier this month, Stefani promoted the service, which is said to enable its users to get closer to God for a monthly or yearly payment plan. Why is it always that in order for us to get closer to God, y'all need money? Why is it always that? So when it comes to God, well, this old imaginary sky daddy, like you can get in contact with him for free. Why I need a whole app in order to get in contact with him or to feel closer to him? Just the Joanne the scamming. Like, what is up with? And I feel like we're just in a place now in this country where people are so unabashedly willing to steal and grift from their own fan base and disguise it under God and all this other mess. Just profiting. What's wrong with y'all? She said it's important. This I would play it for y'all, but I'm not even going. I'm not even going to have to. I'm not. I don't want to indoctrinate y'all with the BS because I watched the video earlier and I was like, I can't. So it is important this holiday season to spend time in prayer. That is what Christmas is all about. Letting God into your hearts and letting Jesus bring us his peace, said Stefani, dressed in all white and wearing a crucifix. Download Hallow and join me and millions of others in praying every day this Advent and Christmas season on Hallow. But I think the thing with Gwen Stefani was back in the day, she was always a bit of a Jesus freak. She never made any qualms about the fact that she grew up Catholic, whatever, and that's fine. I'm all for people believing what it is that they want to believe in. If you believe in God, Yahweh, whatever the hell you want to believe in, go ahead and do it. I'm not judging that part. I'm judging the grifting aspect that comes with a lot of this religious ideology, with a lot of this mega church bullshit that a lot of these people are out here from her. Then you got all of a sudden MAGA Minaj out here, all of a sudden giving a good goddamn about Nigerians and Catholicism or Christianity or whatever. I'm like, girl, you don't even know what the hell's going on and the real reason why they trying to get their hands on Nigeria. Ain't got nothing to do with no damn Jesus. So she captured the paid partnership post with the comment, the season of Advent has always been a reminder to slow down, even when everything around us is moving so fast. It's such a special time to reflect, pray, and make room in your hearts for Jesus. Since launching the promotion December 2nd on Instagram, Stefani's post has captured more than 19,000 likes and almost 2,000 comments. Many are critical, none more so than a bit fruity podcast host Matt Bernstein, who pointed out that Hallow costs $70 per year, including prayers and meditations that carry anti-abortion messages, and his connections with connections with Vice President J.D. Vance and conservative venture capitalist, that greasy homosexual, Peter Thiel. So the people in the comments, wait, hold on, because I'll actually pull that video up for y'all to watch. Because it comes with the stitch. Where you can get an idea of the behind the scenes connection. I was like, I'll pull that one up, but I don't want to pain y'all with the other mess. I think that's it. Let's see. Okay. Please hold. Wait, is that it? No. It's this one.
In this holiday season to spend time in prayer, letting God into our hearts and letting Jesus bring us his peace. Download Hallow today.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, aka when Gwen Stefani shills for the right-wing anti-abortion pay-to-pray app, Hallow. And if you're feeling like you've missed a few chapters of late-stage capitalism meets religious grifting meets your favorite Y2K celebrity, I am here to help. Hallow is a daily pay-to-pray app that costs $70 a year. Before tax. God's not cheap. The app started with millions of dollars in funding from J.D. Vance, who believes that unmarried women are destined for misery, and from Peter Thiel, the billionaire puppeteer behind the Trump administration, who believes that America started going downhill when women earned the right to vote. Thiel is also a homosexual, which we don't have time for today. Anyway, Gwen's pay-to-pray scam has all of the things you'd expect. It has a multitude of anti-abortion prayers, some of which are read to you by the soothing voice of Lila Rose, the pro-conversion therapy founder of Live Action, a group dedicated to ending abortion. And, by the way, someone Gwen seems to be pals with, or at least a fan of. One prayer on Hallow begins with, Jesus, we pray for every woman who is considering abortion, and in a special way for those who are pregnant from acts of rape or incest. May every woman know the goodness, gift, and beauty of her own life, and so be able to receive the gift of her child's life. In other words, we're really sorry about what your uncle did to you, but Now I know this sounds really extreme and deeply unpopular and incredibly regressive and violent, and it is. But if you're J.D. Vance or Peter Thiel or any of the deeply evil men who believe in this crap, and you're looking for a way to get no abortion even in cases of rape or incest into the mainstream range of acceptable viewpoints, what better way to do that than by recruiting everyone's favorite Hollaback girl? Hollaback girl, more like Hallow app girl.
Oh, y'all got the point. But Peter Thiel's not a homosexual. He's a homosexual. all greasy and shiny and shit. I'm like, why Peter Thiel always so damn greasy? If y'all ever noticed, but yeah, but and after that, the people was up in the comments. So you had what is it? Hits Gwen. I don't know who that is. Said Hollaback girl kills me. Peppermint from Drag Race said Lord SMH. Then we have another person said 1990 Gwen will be so disappointed with 2025 Gwen. Chriselle Stiles, was from Selling Sunset. She said, Gwen, don't speak. Please take your own advice on this one. Another person said, me crying at the gates of heaven, begging them to let me in. But St. Peter says he can't unlock the gates because I didn't pay $69.99 for an app. You know what? Another person said, can we get a Peter Thiel deep dive? Yes, we definitely need one of those. Because they was somehow like, with him and all that money and how he's indoctrinated himself, of course, in the Trump administration, he's been in relations with quite a few men who have ended up disappeared, if you know what I'm saying. I think you do. I wonder if he ever was kind of like Ed Buck in that way of like some of the things that he was doing. Yeah, we definitely need a Peter Thiel deep dive. Because that man is a fucking weirdo. I've seen interviews with him, I'm like, he's a weirdo. But yeah, somebody said, "What is happening? Where am I? Is this hell?" Yeah, I'm just like, what is going? Oh, someone said, "R.I.P. Gwen, we will miss you." I find myself another person said, I find myself saying, "Don't you have enough goddamn money already?" Quite often nowadays. That's what I was like, "What's going on?" How did she go from making men sing "I'm Just a Girl" in the '90s to this? Exactly. It's like, what is going on? It's just sad to see like, damn Gwen, what happened? But I get it. I've heard stories like, you've always been sort of like you followed of like this Christian path or whatever the case was, but it wasn't like so out there in the front. I guess because you was making your little industry money and you was popular on the pop charts and all other stuff and people was living. But now that the career's kind of a little dry, now we're gonna run over here and start doing hollow apps and spewing anti-abortion propaganda and all this other mess and dealing with anti-gay political figures and oligarchs or closet cases like JD Vance. Peter's out of the closet. We already know she'll rhymes with maggot. But JD, oh, she was bringing her knee pads to every meeting allegedly before she became, the vice president. So, like that person said, I guess we're going to have to RIP to Gwen Stefani as we knew her in her career because she is just a whole chop to me. I can't even listen to like any of her old music because of this whole situation. So, I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? It's just sad to see when, some of your faves disappoint you, per usual, which it seems like to be a lot of pop stars that I grew up loving are doing. So, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I was introduced to as a solo artist. One of my earliest memories is dancing to the Sweet Escape, and it's unfortunate that Gwen suddenly decided to chase the wrong trends. Okay, and yeah, because then she started trying to go a little strict with her music, and people like, "What is this?" Like nobody was feeling this new musical direction. Maybe she needs to go back and beg Pharrell for a hit. When he's busy not telling people to soundbite shit. In the words of Medea, hallelujah. She is living for the Lord. Okay. What a crock of shit. Okay. That's literally what it is. I don't trust any Christian/Bible app that has ads in it. I'll just, child, that'll be like the equivalent of Grinder. That's why I got rid of that. Because I'm like, what you not going to do is indoctrinate me with a bunch of damn ads. I'll just read the Bible in my house and pray how I see best, which is well, first of all, that's what you should do. Whatever type of spiritual or religious path, well, I would say more spiritual. Whatever path you decide to take regarding your spirituality or whatever, that's what you should do. You shouldn't have to be listening to some, well, in order for you to feel closer to God, you have to download this app. So you want me to spend $70 a year on a damn app when I could just be on my knees reading and praying for free in my bedroom? I think Apollonia wanted to say something. Didn't say anything. I just now finding out Peter Thiel is a sissy. Oh, she is a greasy sissy. I felt for the moment she got with Blake that at some point she was going to stray from her image of women's liberation. I was hoping she'd prove me wrong. You're not the only one that said that. I remember, like, we've told on this show many a times, Robert has said that in the comments, not only in here. I don't know if he's ever said it in the comments here, but when we've had off camera or, conversations, that's kind of been the overall assessment that her getting with Blake Shelton, she's kind of just changed or become more indoctrinated, I guess, into his conservative beliefs. And it's like, girl, you want to be caught up with a man that damn bad. And there was rumors recently that came out that their marriage is on the rocks. And so they were just saying, then they were out shopping and trying to show like um they are on good standing or whatever the case. So, okay, whatever. I hate like these little carefully positioned photo ops, kind of like with Sydney Sweeney and Scooter Braun. It's like, just live your life. People gonna say stuff. Petered Geen Teal, okay? Because he's giving Ed Gein tease. But how shiny he look. Opportunism comes in endless forms, absolutely. On a positive note, Love Angel Music Baby is still centered as a pop Bible. But that was a good album. All right, y'all. So now let's get into some homosexual news. And let's talk about Jonathan Bailey. Now, I'm like, is it possible that gays could be straight baiting? I don't think we could. I mean, I've heard of straight acting, gays that go and put on this whole facade of trying to be straight for the cameras. But now people out here saying that Jonathan Bailey is straight baiting them. I'm like, okay, y'all just be pulling stuff out y'all ass just to justify whatever BS y'all got going on. But anyway, let's get into the story. So Jonathan Bailey, the Bridgerton actor and People's 2025 Sexiest Man Alive, has found himself at the center of a polarizing online debate, sorry, one that spotlights the lingering inability of many to comprehend openly gay male celebrities in lead romantic roles. Well, yeah, we've heard this conversation many a times. We said Simu Liu talk about that he wants to see Asian representation where Asians want to be the leads in rom-coms or romantic roles. Why can't we have a gay doing it? I mean, Jonathan Bailey was in Bridgerton. So if he could pull off being heterosexual then, y'all didn't know he was a friend of Dorothy until you found out in real life what his tea was. And then we saw him in that fellow traveler show, which, child, if y'all thought the sex on that hockey show was spicy. But they said the question is it even a thing? Or let's say, well, here's one thing we haven't that we didn't have on our 2025 bingo card. People accusing Jonathan Bailey of straight baiting. Someone even said he's the first ever straight baiter. The question is that even a thing? The short answer is sort of, and this isn't the first time it's come up. It's been discussed before on social media, also becoming the subject of Reddit forums and magazine articles. Essentially, what it refers to is someone or something presenting as straight, but in reality is not. It's the exact opposite of queer baiting, where someone or something presents as being queer without actually identifying as such. Now, in 2018, people said Brokeback Mountain was the example of straight baiting, as its advertising used the film's mixed gendered couples in its marketing. This appeared to have lured numerous people in who probably wouldn't have gone to a gay film, and had they known that was wait, what? They said wouldn't have gone to a gay film had they known that was at its core. Okay. Queerty, y'all need to proofread before y'all hit send. I'm like, that sentence did not make no sense. I'm sitting there looking like, okay, did I forget how to read? Anyway, people highlight that the same tactic has been also used in marketing for Call Me By Your Name and Black Sales. I've never seen Black Sales, but Call Me By Your Name, I don't remember if they were ever any kind of straight baiting going on. On Twitter on Wednesday, that would be December 10th, someone shared an image of Bailey from his recent shoot with Cynthia Erivo for Wonderland. He's the first ever straight baiter, the person wrote alongside the image. Well, y'all do know that Cynthia Erivo is dating a woman, right? So where was he straight baiting? Cynthia Erivo's dating Lena Waithe. So I don't know where y'all got that from. That incited a range of responses, with many people deeming the accusations crazy. Someone else said, "I fear we're losing the ancient text," while another Twitter user said, "We are losing a plot." Others pointed to Ricky Martin being the first ever straight baiter, and while the person behind the original post later said it's a joke, it definitely started a conversation. Jonathan Bailey isn't straight baiting us. He's just being his beautiful, thoughtful, loving, handsome self. It's not his fault he makes me want to throw his phone, wrote one person. We can understand in a context of Bailey, the accusation of straight baiting could be levied against him. Here's the thing. I think what people coming on with this whole straight baiting thing is because when you look at someone like a Jonathan Bailey doesn't come across as your standard um gay man. People look at him and they automatically assume, I think, well, yeah, let me pull up the Twitter thing. It's like they look at him and they make an assumption thinking like, oh, this guy, he's good looking. He doesn't come across as like a stereotype, like he's not overtly effeminate. He's got basically your Hollywood good looks. First of all, he's another one that's British that got those ears. I'm like, child, him and Russell Tovey, don't put them two in a room with me. So yeah, so there was about the Wonderland shoot. And then one person, he went to the Ricky Martin School of Straight Baiting. Art gets interesting when confidence meets playfulness. So I think it's like he's someone who is confident in who he is. And he's a good looking man. He's very sexy. He does exude sex appeal. So I'm not gonna hold you on that. But for them to go around and say, like, okay, straight baiting, this sounds totally stupid. It's just like, what the hell is, I mean, I know they explain what straight baiting is. It just sounds so dumb. Is it the fact that, look, we're not a monolith. And we say this about every minority group. We're not a monolith. Black people don't all move and act the same. Women don't move and act all the same. Gays don't move and act all the same. So we're not a monolith. We all come in all different shapes, sizes, and mannerisms. So not everybody out here is gonna be pop dipping. Not everybody's Frankie Grande, child. Not everybody's a full-on queen. There's some people out here who are butch. There's some people who are a queen. Then there's some people who are butch queens that embody both. And I don't know, it's like this whole thing with Jonathan Bailey, it was like, y'all just be coming up with some of the stupidest shit. Let me see if there's any more else to add before I can get up on this. And they said that, yeah, he's taken over a number of roles, gay and straight, such as Timothy Skippy Lachlan in Fellow Travelers and Dr. Henry Loomis in Jurassic World Rebirth. The former featured Bailey in a number of steamy and kinky gay sex scenes with Matt Bomer. Meanwhile, the company star elevated his sex symbol status with his slutty little glasses for the latter. And then there's his role as Prince Fiero in the Wicked films, again appealing to both the homosexuals and the straights. But people even joking about straight baiting highlights what is problematic or why it's problematic. Just like queer baiting, it seems predicated on anachronistic. I can't read today apparently. Anachronistic ideas of what gay men looks and sounds like, which is pretty much what I had said earlier before y'all try to use big words to make yourselves sound intelligent. It's like I pretty much just said that upon analysis, that you're sitting there thinking that because he's not he's not obvious, he's not easily identifiable as what you've been taught to believe a gay man is, he's straight baiting. And it's like, y'all gotta stop that. All gay men are not flamboyant, snippy, and into musical theater are fashionable and fits all the stereotypes. Not everybody is Kirk from Glee or Jack from Will and Grace or Cam from Modern Family. Not everybody's like that. Or Emmett Honeycutt from Queer as Folk, if you want to take it all the way back. Or Pray Tell from Pose. Not everybody is like those characters. Or like, yeah, no, not everybody's like those characters in real life. Although there are characters like that exist, but not all gay men are like that. So, look, I mean, things have slightly progressed. It says not only have gay roles become more varied in 3D, but a gay actor has become successful playing a multitude of roles, gay and straight. Well, you also have to realize that he's good looking and he's white. So, until the day comes when y'all really diversify your portfolio and there's more jobs out there where we get to see that, Then you can sit up here and say, gay actors become more successful playing a multitude of roles. So far, Jonathan Bailey is that mascot that's been able to do that. Not all the other actors can do it. Because they said, wait, hold on. Did they say, oh, they said Bailey is also someone who does not fit into people's old fashioned ideas of a queer man. And he's not the only one. There's Andrew Scott, Matt Bomer, Kit Connor, Coleman Domingo, and more. Wait, Kit Connor, isn't that the one from that Heartstopper show? I don't know why I was thinking Kit Connor was, when I heard Kit, I was thinking Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. I'm like, let's find out he's a homosexual, but I know he's married to the girl with the red hair that was on Game of Thrones at one point. Not Sansa, but there was another chick that was on there. Remember, Sansa was married to a Jonas brother at one point. But Kit Connor, yeah, he was the one that I think that was a part of Heartstopper that was forced to come out of the closet as bi. So this queer baiting thing or this straight baiting thing is so stupid and it's problematic. And we just need to put that crap to bed and not make it a thing. But you know these people, they're going to continue to make it a thing. But whatever. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story about them saying Jonathan Bailey's out of here straight baiting, whatever the hell that means? It's dumb in my opinion. So whatever your thoughts are on this matter, definitely let me know your overall thoughts in the comments down below. No openly gay actor has ever won an Oscar for playing a gay role. Maybe he'll be the first. Well, we'll have to see because, you know, like the many conversations that has been had in Hollywood is that you have someone who, you know, you're openly gay, you want to play the gay roles, but you're too flamboyant for their part. And then they give it to the straight actor. The straight actor is applauded for playing the gay actor because, oh, you're so brave for playing the character. And then you're rewarded for it. Or if you're trans, which means like you're not even giving the actual people who are about that life the opportunity. But then again, they're stuck in a rock and a hard place because they want to play all the different parts. Like I'm an actor. I don't want to just be pigeonholed and playing a gay part because that's what I am in real life. I should be able to play a straight role. I should be able to play all these different characters because that's what I do. I'm an actor. I get paid to play different characters for a living, not to be pigeonholed because a bunch of casting directors want to be ignorant. All right, y'all. So now, speaking of Wicked, let's talk about Ariana Grande's brother, Frankie, who recently did a podcast. Everybody got a damn podcast these days. So apparently, the latest person to have a podcast is former advocate and out editor and writer Tracy E. Gilchrist. So yeah, she has a new podcast, and I think it's called Holding Space. But anyway, so Frankie went on that show, and he started windmilling for the Power Bottoms. Some of you will remember that Gilchrist went viral last year with her interview with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. During it, she told a surprise Erivo that many in the queer community were holding space for the inspiring anthem Defying Gravity, hence the name of Gilchrist's new podcast, Holding Space. Frankie Grande, who's 42, is of course the older brother of Wicked star Ariana Grande. In his conversation with Gilchrist, Frankie discovered his initial mixed feelings about the original musical production of Wicked, his sister's support of his 12-step recovery, and the album of space pop rock bangers he released this year, Hotel Rock Bottom. Part of the discussion involved around Grande's song Boys. He released a video for the track in the summer in which he's wearing makeup and flirting with guys in a locker room. He said he wanted to make unapologetically queer content that's not afraid to embrace his femme side. Well, that's cool or whatever, but overall, the sonically, the album just wasn't for me. Like when you talk about um space pop rock bangers, it was like you were trying to give us Ziggy Stardust and gave us something else. Now, Frankie said he found it weird and interesting to see the other femme gay men butchered up in locker rooms or at the gym, saying, really, gay men like me go into that locker room and the clothes come off, and then all of a sudden we have to butch it up to attract other men, which I think is very weird and interesting, right? I think that's also what's also, he said, I think that's so interesting to watch these really queer, very effeminate men like get into their towels and be like, yo, bro, what's good? And it's like, whoa, what is that thing where we're not allowed to be like overly queer or overly femme in those settings. Even if you're in there to have sex with another man, you still have to be masculine presented. You cannot be feminine in those settings. And so I wanted to reclaim that space for the queer femme to like re-own Power Bottom. It's like we do most of the work, bitch. Do you know what I'm saying? He continued, it is a Power Bottom anthem. Like, why are we shaming Power Bottoms? You tops need them. We serve a purpose in the community. Well, he would absolutely be correct on that. It's like, first of all, if it ain't for the bottoms, who would we have to stick our peens in? So I do feel like people need to put some respect on the bottoms' names and show that, you know what, you got to have respect for them. Like, they're not just some vessel for you to pound away at. They got feelings. They're emotional. They work, hard to clean themselves and have to starve themselves for half the damn day just so they can get like 10 seconds of some meat and potatoes. The potatoes smacking them in they crack, and the meat hitting them, where they need to hit it. So we got to stop hating on the power bottoms. So I agree with Frankie Grande on that. Now, talking about Wicked, Grande says he has a novel. He read the novel at college and loved it, and was so excited about it that he basically, he said he also saw the Broadway production when it was in previews, and loved Kristen and Edina in it, and Joel Grey, but was so disappointed because it was so lighthearted and the book is so dark. And so I, as a fan from the book, was like, well, they Disney-fied that. What a missed opportunity to make something dark. But I'm like, a horror fan, so it makes sense that that was my reaction. And then went and told his sister about it, and I guess the rest is history. That may have gotten her interested in doing Wicked because her brother loved the musical and the book and all that other stuff. But you already know that's what they're gonna do on Broadway. You can't put no dark themes on there because they have to reach a broader audience. So of course they're gonna darken it up a little bit just so that way they can get the type of audience that they want to, or not darken it, like lighten it up a bit, Disneyfy it. I always hate that about when they do that with other people's IPs, but it's like y'all just Disneyfy it and water it down and stuff. That makes me always like fall out of love with certain projects. But shout out to Frankie because I do agree with him. It's like we make jokes and it's good. Like, I mean, it's funny like to sit up in here and make fun of the femme girls and the femme queens and all this stuff. But here's the thing: if it wasn't for those effeminate men, if it wasn't for those power bottoms or whatever you want to call them, tops like us would not get laid. Number two, um, also we have to be mindful of the fact that a lot of those effeminate men had to endure a lot of vitriol and hatred and discrimination in order for us to get the queer rights that we have today. So we should also not only put respect on their booties, but we got to put respect on the cause of, the femme gays who have paved the way for us to have, and the trans girls, for us to have the rights that we have today. Just shout out to you, Frankie. So I said this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree with what he had to say in regards to that? It's like, yeah, the music was all right. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I'm glad we got a lot of artists out here making and doing the things that doing the damn thing and making the music they want to make and all that good stuff. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay, y'all. So now let's get to our final topic. And let's talk about some Pornhub. So apparently, it looks like we've been holding a mirror up to society as of late because a lot of these girls, they like to run around passing judgment, condemning the homosexuals and this, that, and the other. But it looks like a lot of y'all been over on Pornhub, and we've been finding out what y'all been into. So yeah, holding up an uncomfortable mirror to a society in which libidical plus people are under increased scrutiny and attack. It turns out people of all genders and sexualities, they love libidical plus themed adult content, and that searches for such videos have risen across all parts of the site, according to Pornhub's 2025 year in review. Among the winners, terms like lesbian, transgender, and femboy. Now, while we've known for a long time that trans spicy content is a favorite in red states that oppose trans rights, make that make sense, there's another weird truth that we have to confront about this year. Femboys have broken through the Pornhub top 10 in global searches for the first time ever. In the gay-specific categories, Femboy tops the list. Femboy tops the list, not Femboy tops. Femboy tops the list, possibly due to the Charlie Kirk shooting, pow-powing, that made the term a household name for controversial reasons. Wait, when Charlie Kirk was unalive, they mentioned something about femboys? Anyway, so they said disregard all previous. Wait, hold on. They said we're still a little bit fuzzy on the suspect, Tyler Robinson's alleged reasoning for taking out the right wing pundit. But what we do know is that the speculation around Robinson's motives this fall exposed many previous unsuspecting straights to the concept of the femboy, a male identified person who presents in a feminine way, often but not always in a kinky context. While some femboys' presentation is part of their shtick, like Twitch streamer Finster, but it's spelled F1NN5TER, and others begin as femboys before eventually coming out as trans women. Some femboys who are more closely aligned with the spicy industry use their femininity as a way to appeal to a broader base of fans, and that's where things end up getting tricky. As trans TikToker Saber has explained on her page, femboys and alt-right extremists such as groypers, i.e. Nick Fuentes, that was always one of what a groyper was, because I would always hear political pundits like Kyle Kalinske use that reference. But a great year as a Nick Fuentes fan, they said unfortunately experienced some overlap in the early days of the internet where there were limited spaces available for hanging out, shit posting, and testing our new identities that weren't exactly welcome in the mainstream. Because lots of trans eggs hung out on these spaces like 4chan and 8chan. They rub shoulders with people who, despite their horrible politics, form the only kind of acceptance these vulnerable trans folks could access in the days before mainstream trans acceptance and the backlash that followed. Now, as Saber and other TikTokers have also explained, there's another reason that femboys and trans women are vulnerable in falling in with groypers. Fuentes fans and other MAGA offshoots are very upfront about their hatred of women. They are also quite clear on how conflicted they feel about their attraction to the women they fear and despise. So seeking out men that have all the traits and they find desirable in women feel like a loophole. They can experience attraction in parts of femininity they like without having to risk being shamed and rejected by a woman. So they feel like by getting with a femboy, that quenches their thirst. There was even a video that I had saw of Nick Fuentes with somebody by the name of Catboy. It's like a 15-second video. Hold on, let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah, so here it is.
Oh yeah, he's cute. Oh yeah, everyone always talks.
I'm a 50-year-old woman who's just gone down the Nick Fuentes groyper furry rabbit hole. It's wild.
He's cute.
Yeah, then some of the comments basically went on to say, do you have a better understanding of the CK situation now? I'm wondering because I'm in my 50s and don't get any of this. Were you talking about like the Charlie Kirk situation? I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these boys are just lost. And do you have these people that just came in and swooped down and has taken pretty much advantage of them where they're at their most vulnerable? One person said, no, 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 no. There are just some things I cannot do. I know too much already. But anyway, let's go back to, let's take that out. And then let's go back to this photo. So that is kind of crazy. The fact of the matter is that they hate women, but all they look at women as is baby making machines. It's just a weird, crazy situation. So it's like you like all the feminine traits, but it's on a boy. But if you got with an actual woman, then you feel like you'll be shamed by those women. So they get with these guys because I guess they know the femboys ain't gonna say nothing. Which is why I found it quite hilarious the other day when Piers Morgan interviewed Nick Fuentes, and Nick was like, he's what, 27 years old and a virgin. If they would decide to make a movie called 28-Year Virgin, a sequel to it, he could star in it. So both vocels, voluntarily celibate men, and incels, involuntarily celibate men, i.e. guys who can't get laid, which I love using the incel word, often express a desire to be queer, not because they find men attractive, but because they feel the gap between men and women is too ideologically large. The Groyper type of misogyny encourages young men to fear women while viewing them as baby-making machines. It completely despairs of ever having anything in common with the opposite sex, which makes for a perfect storm of rising femboy searches among not only queer or bi-curious men, but genuinely straight men who are seeking a get out of heterosexuality free card. You cannot be serious with this foolishness. Add to this bizarre mix an obsession with ancient Rome, and you've got yourself in cultural femboy craze on the rise. But if you got an obsession with ancient Rome, well, I guess you can go over there and get stars and watch that new Spartacus show. It sounds crazy. And I said, but crazy enough, femboys have clearly made a cultural impact this year, and not just because of the Charlie Kirk headlines. In a moment where trans people are more visible than ever in a culture that both fears and hates us, it makes perfect sense that some of that fear and hatred would convert into lust and fascination for people who express a playful, non-traditional gender identity. So there was also this other video that I came across. That's not the one. Where it was some Groypers being obsessed with femboys because of the Greco-Romans or Greco-Romans. Let's play that clip, and then we'll come back and talk. Look at this little education segment. Please hold.
Groypers are obsessed with femboys because of the Greco-Romans. When Elon Musk did the Roman salute, he's a Groyper. I'm so excited that I can say things like that, and y'all don't immediately just go, this, what? Even though most of you are, you're still listening. You're still here with me right now. And that warms my chronically online heart. Nick Fuentes, the king of the Groypers, dated a cat boy. They are literally the jokers of the alt-right. Literally. The clown world, Honkler, Pepe the Frog, Honk Honk, that was them. The obsession with the first Joker movie, literally just causing anarchy. Hey, guess who that was? This is why I say it's one of the least punk things to just have sheer anarchy, just violence. Look, I'm gonna keep going. I've been talking about this stuff for years, but I need y'all to pay attention. I need y'all to ask the questions. I need you to bridge the gap between me and you and your family and your coworkers and your peers. I'm too woke. I always have been. I'm chronically online. You guys have to do the work. I will explain it. You have to convey it so we can normalize and talk about these kinds of conversations we should have been talking about up until now. Groypers.
Okay, so then we have that, and might be almost done with that. So yeah, so they said, I think I read that sentence. So it said, we see all these themes on Instagram Reels and TikTok about fracking, or cracking, not fracking, or might be fracking. Remember, that was the F word they use over on Battlestar Galactica. Cracking femboys and dudes arguing why it's not gay. One Redditor recently wrote, a lot of straight dudes get into arguments about why it's not gay to like femboys, but I keep wondering why they don't just say, who cares? Whether or not it's gay isn't the point. These people do care deeply about how they identify. For people who haven't unpacked or examined their sexuality, there's an exotic pull towards the unfamiliar, especially if it appears in a slightly more socially acceptable package. As we've seen this year with so many MAGA and MAGA-like influencers, denial can be a way of life, and the closet can be so deep, you can end up spending your life in there if you're not careful. And yeah, you don't want that to happen. But anyway, there was some other stuff that was going on, because while we were unpacking that, what else was y'all looking at over there on Pornhub? So yeah, there was about femboys had an incredible 2025 as the term became not only the #1 search on Pornhub gay, knocking Twink out of its years-long top spot. And this is from them, by the way. Shout out to them. But catapulted into the top 10 categories site-wide, up 15 spots from last year. Some of the terms that saw a huge increase in the last year included cute femboy, sexy femboy, and femboy hentai. Honey Paint, a top-ranking Pornhub gay account that features two femboy sissy twinks, say that 10 times fast, as per their page, told Pornhub that a femboy is someone who openly expresses femininity in their appearance, style, or spirit while remaining comfortable, benign, recognized as male, regardless of the individual's gender identity. It's really amusing to see the popularity of the tag femboy and other similar genderqueer search terms rise, Honey Paint added. I have a lot of fans who reach out to me telling me that they're straight but still love watching my videos. It seems that for a lot of straight guys, and they have straight in air quotes, attraction is often more rooted in their perceived femininity of someone rather than a gender identity. As the stock of femboys rise, the fate of porn featuring straight guy corn, I should start saying the other word instead of the P word, has fallen. Searches for straight on Pornhub gay tumbled 9 spots to 19th place, just above cruising, and 2 spots below cute femboy. Notably, straight guy's first time is still in the is in the 6th spot, though it was knocked out of the top 5. Site-wide, LGBTQ content rule, with lesbian being the top viewed category of 2025 of 3 spots. Lesbian is a category determined often landed in the top results, but this year included WLW content featuring searches for lesbian scissoring, lesbian MILF, and lesbian strap-on. Oh. And possibly contrary to popular narratives, it's not just men watching. Lesbians was the most viewed category by women on the site. But why would anybody be shocked? One person said, oh, they said searches for trans also flew up 5 spots in the second most popular overall category on the site. What's happening in 2025 is more than just an increase in views. It's a cultural shift. Pornhub ambassador Natasha Dreams, who is trans, said in part of the report. For the first time, translated content is the second most watched category in the industry. People are finally seeking out stories and performers who break old ideas about gender and sexuality. It's amazing to see viewers become more open-minded and interested in authenticity. I feel like that's what's happening, and we have a government that's just trying to indoctrinate itself in a place of trying to change all that up. But you definitely see like there's 1% of people that try to push in these things to dismantle trans rights and deny trans people health care and trying to get rid of all the porn. When quiet as it's kept, a lot of these Republicans be the ones out there watching all this mess. But I don't call it mess as a mess, but I'm just saying mess in general. It's just crazy how sexually repressed we are as a society in America. So hopefully, even with all this craziness going on, that we can find a way to get through that and people just live and let live. Let people just live their life how they live it and stop living in shame. That's all I'm asking for. So I'm sure there was more than that, but it was a long ass story and I'm tired of talking about it. Especially with all the stuff that they was talking about that how that queer content across the entire Levitical plus spectrum saw an increase. So a lot of people seem like they're coming to terms with their queerness and bisexuality and watching a lot of these videos in secret. So I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Are y'all surprised by this latest stories regarding, Pornhub's new statistic or data where they're basically talking about how all types of categories during the Levitical plus spectrum, people are seeking them out, particularly feminine appearing men and trans porn, lesbians watching, including women watching girl on girl action. That's why I said if only people stop being so goddamn uptight. We're the most uptight, sexually repressed country in the world. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. So a video essay about how MAGA preys on vulnerable young men who have been broken up with by women who spew their ideology that women are less than and should be all the blame for the failed bromance. Absolutely. They definitely do that. He said, show the inbox photo. Are we demanding? First of all, I don't know anything about Trump and a walker. I'm like, is that even real? Who knows? This could be AI. Um, let's see. Because some people's like, okay. Um, let's see if I could pull the picture up in here. Um, for y'all. What should I title it as? Walker. Like Walker, Texas Ranger. Remember that show? It was like, did y'all ever see that? What, you talking about that picture? I don't even know if that's real. So could it be that Donald Trump out here using a walker and somebody took a picture? I mean, he is a man of a certain age, and him actually having to use a walker, whatever, is showing signs of weakness. But yeah, he old. The Alzheimer's is Alzheimerin. He has had trouble walking, especially with, the cankles. But I'm just waiting for all the political pundits to, you know, talk about whether or not this is real. Who knows? But we'll see once we cross that bridge. But anyway, y'all. We're officially at the end of the show. I want to thank you all for tuning in for the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I'll be back next week, so have a great weekend. I'm going to be busy, so I'll be back on, I think, Monday with a brand new episode. Possibly some fresher hot topics, because, yeah, today's show was kind of like somber. I'm like, ugh, there's a lot of heaviness. But, it was a little slow week. Sure it'll pick up with a couple of days off. But, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Love you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. He said, I'm going to be so upset if this is AI. It probably is. But, I mean, I would not be surprised if it's AI. But, that's what they be doing these days. It's hard to tell. And Donald Trump, I don't feel like would let people see him using a walker. So, yeah, love you all for watching. Definitely love you guys for your, continued support of this show. And until next time, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification, all that good stuff. And then next time, see you. Love you. Ciao, darlings.